This episode is brought to you by Indeed. Stop waiting around for the perfect candidate. Instead, use Indeed sponsored jobs to find the right people with the right skills fast. It's a simple way to make sure your listing is the first candidates see. According to Indeed data, sponsored jobs have 4 times more applicants than non-sponsored jobs. So go build your dream team today with Indeed. Get a $75 sponsored job credit at Indeed.com/podcast. Terms and conditions apply.
Sid and Friends in the morning. Entertaining and informative on the Red Apple Podcast Network.
I'm sorry, Sid. Hi.
Oh, God, don't be sorry. You kidding me?
No, I'm wrapped up in these meetings on peace. And I said, it's between peace and Sid Rosenberg. And I said, let's take Rosenberg, okay? So.
The man who authorities say tried to storm the White House Correspondents' Dinner, facing a judge.
Meanwhile, investigators are still trying to determine how he got so close to that ballroom. Prosecutors say the gunman, identified as Cole Thomas Allen, faces federal charges alleging he traveled across multiple state lines with firearms in an attempt to assassinate President Trump. Top officials are moving quickly to meet with the Secret Service and Homeland Security to review security protocols for major events. Dick Brennan joins us now with the very latest. Dick?
Well, Jessica and Christine, federal officials say the suspect, Cole Allen, carefully planned this. They say he made reservations for the Washington Hilton back on April 6th in anticipation of being at the White House Correspondents' Dinner this weekend. And they say he had multiple targets. The suspect, 31-year-old Cole Allen from California, appeared in federal court and was charged with 3 counts: attempting to assassinate President Trump, transportation of a firearm and ammunition in interstate commerce with intent to commit a felony, and discharge of a firearm during a crime of violence. DOJ officials displayed the weapons they say he had, including a shotgun he fired and several knives.
So any suggestion that he wasn't there to do harm is absurd. We will prove when he purchased these guns. They were purchased in California.
CBS News obtained a copy of what investigators call his manifesto. In it, Allen allegedly talked about wanting to target administration officials from highest ranking to lowest. The Justice Department praised the response of law enforcement.
Law enforcement did not fail. They did exactly what they are trained to do. This was not an accident. It was the result, as we know now, of preparation. But the men and women who protected us that night were trained, professional, and had an enduring commitment to the rule of law.
But White House Press Secretary Caroline Leavitt says authorities are always looking for ways to improve security.
I definitely wouldn't say changes are out of the question.
Was there a failure in security?
Obviously, there was a breach of security.
Former NYPD Lieutenant Commander John Schneider says there needed to be added layers of security at the checkpoint the gunman ran through.
Once the threat enters the frozen area, something had to be able to take him out immediately. He shouldn't have been able to get that close.
And Schneider says holding the dinner at the Washington Hilton created many security challenges.
I would never have an event like this at a hotel that's not completely locked down. We use the term lockdown. It wasn't locked down. There was too much traffic going through.
Our First Lady Melania is here. Look at Melania, so beautiful. Mrs. Trump, you have a glow like an expectant widow. We had a little roast. Again, this was Thursday, and there was no big reaction to it until this morning when I greeted the day facing yet another Twitter vomit storm. And a call to fire me from our First Lady, Melania Trump, saying I should be fired because of a joke I made, again, 5 nights ago. It was a pretend roast. I said, our First Lady Melania is here. Look at her, so beautiful. Mrs. Trump, you have a glow like an expectant widow, which...
Doubles down.
Obviously was a joke about their age difference and the look of joy we see on her face every time they're together. It was a very light roast joke about the fact that he's almost 80 and she's younger than I am. It was not, by any stretch of the definition, a call to assassination, and they know that. I've been very vocal for many years speaking out against gun violence in particular, but I understand that the First Lady had a stressful experience over the weekend and probably every weekend.
As the First Lady of the United States pointed out this morning, just 2 days prior to the shooting, ABC's late night host Jimmy Kimmel disgustingly called First Lady Melania Trump an expectant widow. Who in their right minds says a wife would be glowing over the potential murder of her beloved husband? And having experienced what I did with the First Lady on Saturday night, I can tell you that she was anything but that. This kind of rhetoric about the president, the First Lady, and his supporters is completely deranged, and it's unbelievable that the American people are consuming it night after night after night.
The last time the Alien Enemies Act was invoked, it was used to detain and deport German, Japanese, Italian immigrants during World War XI.
Ladies and gentlemen, Ilhan Omar just said the single stupidest thing I have ever heard in my entire life. I'm sorry, how many world wars have we had? Last I checked, it was only 2.
Saturday's shooting sparking a last-minute security review of King Charles and Queen Camilla's visit. The royals arriving at the White House. Their historic trip also brings them to New York City on Wednesday, and the day will include a visit to the 9/11 memorial. Eyewitness News anchor Michelle Charlesworth has that part of our coverage. Michelle?
Well, Sade, the focus of this 4-day visit is to celebrate America's 250th year together, recognizing our nation's ties. The State Department on the website calls Britain our closest partner. Because of that and what happened over the weekend, security efforts have ramped up to historic levels. With increased security, King Charles III and Queen Camilla arrived at the White House, where they were greeted by the president and First Lady. The president has insisted the royals will be safe on U.S. soil. The White House press secretary said a meeting will take place early this week reviewing procedures for protecting Mr. Trump and others at high-profile events.
We're always looking for ways to improve security. I think if you just sit here and say everything is perfect all the time, that's not a good way to operate. And so the White House will continue to engage with DHS and with Secret Service to find ways to improve and strengthen security.
He's a friend of mine for a long time, so he's coming, and we're going to have a great time. And he represents his nation like nobody else can do it.
King Charles and Queen Camilla will spend 2 days in Washington before heading here to New York. They'll go to the 9/11 memorial for a wreath-laying ceremony. King Charles also will be in Harlem visiting an urban farm. Mayor Mamdani says New York will be prepared for the royal visit and all upcoming high-profile events.
What we saw at the press correspondence dinner is one part of a very troubling reality across this country, which is how political violence has become part of our politics.
You think?
And it is something that we are taking into consideration whenever we are planning anything in our city. And I'm fully confident in our city and in our police department to keep New Yorkers safe over the course of that.
Mr. Mamdani does plan to attend the wreath laying at the World Trade Center site, although there are no plans for a one-on-one meeting with the mayor and the king. Meantime, President Trump, as you heard, has called the king a fantastic man, a longtime friend. Because of the events 2 days ago, security will be tighter than ever.
The widow of NYPD Detective Jonathan Diller spoke directly to the man convicted of killing her husband in court. And though the family and police union were unhappy with the verdict earlier this month, they did feel the judge got the right punishment during sentencing. Alice Gaynor was in the courtroom.
Through tears, Stephanie Diller addressed the man who killed her husband.
What you did to Jonathan gave me and our son a life sentence without him.
36-year-old Guy Rivera stared straight ahead as NYPD Detective Jonathan Diller's mother also spoke.
I will never see smile, here's laughter.
Prosecutors argued and a judge agreed that 2 prior felony convictions made Rivera a discretionary persistent felony offender, so the judge was able to consider Rivera's entire criminal history when sentencing him.
Every time he uses liberty, he's committing heinous felonies.
The defense disagreed and also alleged the judge's rulings during trial prevented the jury from considering certain evidence, saying they plan to appeal.
Mr. Rivera did not receive a fair trial.
The judge then turned to Guy Rivera and asked if he had anything to say.
No.
Rivera was convicted of manslaughter and other charges, but acquitted of the most serious charge, first-degree murder, for the shooting death of Detective Diller in March 2024. The verdict upset Diller's family and fellow officers. The judge acknowledged their frustration.
Murder, manslaughter, homicide, they're legal terms. The defendant killed your loved one.
Further telling them there were no words that would take away their pain.
Not even the knowledge that this defendant will most certainly die in a prison cell, and I promise you he will.
He sentenced him to 115 years to life behind bars.
This judge sent a clear message with this lifetime sentence to anyone who dares harm a New York City police officer.
In Kew Gardens, Queens, Alice Gaynor, CBS News, New York.
In a statement, the Legal Aid Society, which represents Rivera, said that they plan to appeal and say the judge showed bias in comments during sentencing. The NYPD commissioner called this sentence the right result.
Hard to say if this is my favorite Beatles song or not. I love them all. I love Let It Be, too. We'll play that at some point today. The Beatles classic, Hey Jude, as we kick off this Tuesday morning show. Good morning, New York City, 6:15 a.m. right here in New York. Of course, it's 3:15 a.m. for my Los Angeles audience, and I've got one and 1:15 p.m. in the afternoon in Jerusalem, Tel Aviv, and our big Israel audience. Hey Jude, that goes out to King Charles. Listen, I am on record a million times. I know you've heard this before, going back to our Juliet Huddy days. She loved all that royal stuff, the pomp and circumstance, the weddings. And I go on the air with Bernie, and I would just kill people. What are you doing getting up at 3 o'clock in the morning to watch some dopey wedding between William and, what is her name again?
Kate.
Thank you, sir. All that royal stuff to me is nonsense, complete nonsense. But I flipped the switch on this one because things are so bad right now between the United States and the United Kingdom, and obviously the Prime Minister Starmer. I'm hearing rumors that Starmer may be out, may be done by the end of the week, that I do feel like, and John Catsimatidis, very smart guy, made this point yesterday, I do feel like that part of this visit by the king, and don't forget, this visit was set up a while ago, didn't just happen. It's not based upon the latest discussions about the war on NATO. This has been in place for a while to celebrate our country's 250th magnificent birthday. But because relationships right now are so strained between the United States and the United Kingdom, I do believe the king has a pretty important job this trip. It's not just the guy that basically does nothing, right? Sits in Buckingham Palace all day and goes to fancy dinners and all that. Doesn't really have any political power. In fact, he's got none. I'm hoping that Nigel Farage is the guy that wins in England next when Starmer leaves. But the king has an opportunity here to make relations better. I know he gets along well with President Trump, but when you consider that King Charles will be the first to address Congress since 1991, since his mother did it, so you're talking about 35 years when Queen Elizabeth actually addressed Congress. He's going to address both chambers today, the king, both the House and the Senate. And again, first time in 35 years. And I think it's important. Look, I spend a lot of time in London when my daughter Ava went to college in Wales, the University, Cardiff. You guys know, Lou and Noam and Justin, that Danielle and I spent a lot of time in London. And it's a beautiful city. They've got tremendous issues there, tremendous anti-Semitism, a growing Muslim population. It's just it's not the same, but it's still a beautiful city, beautiful. And I would like to see the relationship improve. And I really believe that King Charles, and I guess to a certain extent is the Queen, whatever her name is, Camilla, I don't know. I do believe this is an opportunity for King Charles to smooth over what Starmer has basically mangled the last couple of months. What do you think, Noam?
I think that's a big part of why he's here. Yeah, I mean, he was, like you said, initially it was for the 250th anniversary of our founding, but here's a chance for him to say, okay, things are okay between the two of us. No real big problems that we can't solve.
So today, again, he's going to address Congress, the House and the Senate. Tonight they've got a state dinner. And then we move to tomorrow. King Charles and the Queen are going to be right here in New York City. They're going to lay a wreath at the 9/11 memorial. Again, we are getting very, very close to commemorating 25 years. And I'll say this, and I want everybody in New York to print this, to put it on their podcast. I don't care if it's Katie Honan or that low-life piece of garbage, Hassan Piker. The last person I want to see anywhere near that museum, that tower, that land is our mayor. He's the last person. I played you the audio yesterday. Hassan Piker. The mayor has not distanced himself from Hassan Piker, not even a little. He defends him. He is quick to tell everybody how close they are, Mayor Mamdani and Hassan Piker. And I played you the audio yesterday when, with zero remorse and no apologies, Hassan Piker said, and I quote, and he has said it now more than once, America deserved 9/11. And he said it one time when Mamdani was a guest on his podcast, and the mayor provided zero pushback. Zero. America deserved 9/11. The mayor is sitting right there, this dopey mayor, didn't say a word, and he's going to lay a wreath tomorrow at the 9/11 Memorial Museum, and he's going to sit there to commemorate 25 years as if he cares about this country. It is disgraceful. It is disgusting. But he's going to do it tomorrow. Now, initially, somebody had told me, I don't think it was you, no, maybe it was you, that he was going with the king. That's not true. They're both going to be there, but as far as I know, there is no plans for any one-on-one meetings or to be traveling or talking. They're just going to be at the same place at the same time. Isn't that right?
Well, essentially, he's like a tour guide.
No, I don't think so.
Yeah,
he's not going to be with the king. No, I don't think they're coming together.
He may not be walking with them, but
right.
As the mayor, he's going to be there.
Well, he's going to be there. What does that mean? I want to be there. In fact, I actually texted Lou Ruffino had a great idea. I want to be there. I think I should be there. Let's be honest, okay? And I don't care about the million New Yorkers that voted for Mamdani. Let's take a real poll, real New Yorkers. Who's more New York, Sid Rosenberg or Zoran Mamdani? I mean, no, you laugh because it's so ridiculous, the notion we're even asking that question. And I want to be there tomorrow. I want to give the king my respect. I like the fact the king is here. I just said it, addressing both chambers of Congress today and big state dinner with President Trump tonight. I'd like to be there tomorrow. So Lou had a great request. Why don't you go with Bruce Blakeman? Guy's running for governor of New York. So I texted Bruce at 5:30 this morning. I said, you and I should go together tomorrow to this 9/11 memorial. I don't know what it's going to take to get in or how that works, but outside of a couple of radical Islam nutjobs in this city and depraved Democrats who pander to this mayor day in and day out, I think New Yorkers would much rather see Sid Rosenberg down there than Mayor Mamdani. Don't you?
No two ways about it.
So how do I make sure that I'm able to attend that ceremony?
Well, I think that Bruce Blakeman might have a better shot of getting you in there.
Well, yeah, he's running for governor.
Yeah.
Yeah. Plus, Mamdani is not a big fan of mine.
No, he's not going to help you.
Right.
This, and, you know, the...
I don't want him to help me.
NYPD or City Hall.
No one's got more juice with the NYPD than me.
I understand,
Nobody.
but City Hall now handles the press credentials, so they're not going to give you a press credential. So maybe Bruce can get you one.
Well, how are you not going to give me one?
A press credential? Because it was Mayor Adams who took control of those press credentials because he hated, I guess, the fact that some of the press was nasty to him, and then they would divvy things out. As far as I know, that's still the case. They handle press credentials.
No.
It used to be the NYPD did.
Yeah. Well, Bruce Blakeman just texted me, put in request. We'll see. It doesn't sound like he's very confident that I'm going to be able to get in, which is ridiculous. Well, that's bias. Can I sue somebody?
You would think as the Nassau County executive he could get in. I mean, it's not a press person.
What
he's
about
a
me?
lawmaker.
But I'm a press person.
Yeah, you're a press person, maybe a little more difficult.
But why? Because I'm Jewish?
I think because the mayor probably is not a big
I'm going to
fan
claim
of
it's
yours.
anti-Semitism. Clearly, this is anti-Semitism.
Yes, that's what it is, yeah.
I know the mayor's not a fan of mine, but so what? He's the guy that's always saying, you know, we got to figure it out and let everybody talk. And so he's not a fan of mine. I'm certainly not a fan of his. I think he's gross. Terrible human being. Terrible. Him and his wife. But I can still be at the same place with him at the same time.
Yeah.
And in fact, if the mayor was serious about curing some of the ills of this city, he would welcome an opportunity just to be in a picture with me, whether we're actually standing together and smiling or not. That may go a long way, don't you think?
You would think so,
right?
Yeah.
Even if it was by accident. Oh my God, look at that! There's Rosenberg and Mamdani in the same picture. Well, I know they listened every second of this show because every day there's a podcast or a City and State article or a Katie Honan tweet or a Chris Sommerfeld tweet. So I know you're listening, and I want to go tomorrow. So make it happen, or I'll cause a whole bunch of hell in this city. I don't care. So I do anyway. And you got to do what you got to do, no one to make it happen. I don't know what you can do.
I can right now put in the request. You want me to
put
do
it
that?
in, yes.
But I'm going to have to put your name in the request because I'm sure security is very tight.
Well,
for
of
the
course
thing
you got to
tomorrow.
put my name in. What do you expect?
Yeah, well, so I know what the response is going to be, but I will put it in.
Are you serious?
Yeah, well, they're not going to say, no, Sid can't come because we don't like him. I'll just be denied probably, but I'll try. Let me try.
They're definitely going to say no? It's 100%?
No.
Lou, what do you think?
Let me look at the Magic 8 Ball a second.
I guess it doesn't look good, does it?
Results don't look good.
They don't look good. All right, well, put it in.
Seems uncertain.
That's fine. Put it in, and then I'm going to sue the city for all kinds of biases.
I guarantee you I will get that we put it in too late. That'll be the word.
It's tomorrow. We got plenty of time.
I know, but that I can
literally 2 miles
guarantee you
away.
That's the reaction.
Right.
So
then they'll be lying.
I'm going to put it in right now.
So if you're listening, don't bother saying that it's too late because you'll be lying. All right? We're 2 miles away. It's not an issue. Whether you like me or hate me, there's no bigger voice in this city than me. Anybody going to argue that? Let's have an honest conversation. Is anybody going to argue? There's no bigger voice in this city than me. None.
Well, that's probably the case, but people will
that's why, I guess.
will still argue it. That's maybe.
Who's going to argue it?
I don't
Who the hell are they going to say has a bigger... I'm not talking about sports. I'm not talking about Boomer Esiason or Craig Carton. In this genre, in news talk, in political talk, there's not even a close second at this point. Let's be honest. Not even a close second.
Let's be honest.
Let's be honest. I need to be there tomorrow to represent New York. Because right now you have a radical Islam mayor and you got a king of the United Kingdom. Who's there for New York? Let's think about that for a second now. You got a mayor, a radical Islam mayor, and you got a king from another country. Who the hell is there to represent New York? Katie Honan? I mean, you know what I'm saying, no? Who's there?
Saying.
One of these psychotic, lunatic city council members? Maybe they'll bring Chi Osei there. Why not? He's caused a whole big firestorm. In fact, coming up in about 20 minutes, I'm going to talk to my dear friend Vincent Vallelong, happens to be the president of the SBA, Sergeants Benevolent Association. And I don't know if you saw this, home, but I was provided with a document late last night, early this morning, like 4 pages long, where the SBA has filed an official complaint about Julie Menon. Did you see this?
No, what's that about?
Julie happens to be the Speaker of the City Council, and it turns out that the SBA is alleging, I think they're right, and I like Julie the last couple of weeks. You know that. Her and I have had nice conversations. She's done some good things. So I'm not down on Julie like I was maybe a couple of months ago when she was calling me an Islamophobe publicly every day. I've moved past that. But the SBA is claiming that she reached out to Jessica Tisch, another one of my friends, the police commissioner, when Osei, this moron, was arrested at some deed theft Brooklyn protest last week, and she's not supposed to do that. That's like a political favor, I guess. So they're claiming that Menon used her political power as Speaker of the Council to try to make things happen for one of her lunatic council members, this moron Chi Osei, by reaching out to Jessica Tisch, and she can't do that. So Vinny's going to call in about 20 minutes. They have now filed an official complaint, and I've got it. Well, how about that, no?
How did Jessica Tisch respond?
I don't know the answer to that. That's why you got to wait and listen to Vinny Vallelong.
By the way, I have an update on you trying to get into
They already said no?
No. Actually, someone just sent me, and this is a good information, they said you should try to get through the King's press secretary, and they sent me all of his information.
Hold on a second.
Actually, it's a woman.
Hold on a second. Hold on a second. You're telling me that Sid Rosenberg, Mr. New York, #1 radio show. I can't go anywhere these days without getting mobbed by people who love this show. You're telling me the only way I can get down to the Freedom Tower is to ask the King of England?
Yeah.
Oh my God.
I think that's what I'm saying. So I'm gonna send this person an email and call them right now and see if I can get you on the King's list.
It's fine. Make sure they know my daughter Ava went to college in Wales, graduated with honors from Cardiff University in Wales, and I spent a lot of time in London, and they love me there. Make sure they know that.
I'm gonna put all of that.
Put all that in there.
Yeah.
Nigel Farage loves Sid Rosenberg.
Oh yeah. Well, I'm not gonna put that in there.
Yeah, it's probably not gonna help you. I can't believe this. I got to go through the King, not the mayor of New York City. Jesus.
Yeah. Rhiannon Mills, that's who it is. So I'm gonna.
No, who is this now?
I think it's a woman. Rhiannon Mills. I'm gonna send her some stuff right now.
Well, thank you very much. Mm-hmm. All right, so Vinny's gonna come on, but the biggest story of the day, obviously, is still Cole Thomas Allen. Wall-to-wall coverage yesterday. I watched Fox News. I watched Brett Baer, and then I watched, what the hell's her name again, 7 o'clock, Laura Ingraham. She had Janine Pirro on. I'm upping Janine this week as well. I spoke to her guy, Tim Lauer, yesterday. So Janine will probably be on at some point this week. But, it's the same conversation. I know that Greg Kelly was going on and on yesterday about how security blew it again, Secret Service. And a lot of people feel that way. And I'm somewhere in the middle. Clearly, they didn't blow anything because the president's life was not ever really in danger. It just wasn't, okay? We can talk about, well, if he had bombs, he didn't have bombs. Well, if he had a machine gun, he didn't have a machine gun. Now, look, moving forward, maybe you don't do these things at venues like a hotel like that. That's what I learned this weekend. That's what I learned. Did he get through the initial perimeter? Yes. Is that an issue? I don't know. Again, he wasn't anywhere near the president, and he had to go through another couple of layers to get to that point. People that were inside the room, for example, Brian Kilmeade, Bill O'Reilly, all joined me yesterday, and they were not critical of Secret Service. Neither was President Trump, who texted me very early Sunday morning and said they did a great job. They didn't do a great job, okay? I know President Trump goes out of his way, which is a beautiful thing, to defend the police. They didn't do a great job, but they did a good enough job, okay? His life was never really in danger. But can we take some lessons from this? Absolutely. But that seemed to be the narrative yesterday, more than why did he do it? What was his motivation? We saw the manifesto, so we know he hates Trump, and he hates everybody that works in and around President Trump. He is a lunatic. His own brother and sister said that. Smart guy, very smart guy. I don't think he was paid. I don't think that somebody out there had him do it. There's a lot of crazy people, folks. We start getting lazy when we just automatically determine, they're all paid. They're not all paid. Even the protesters in New York City, they are not all paid. Stop saying that. You sound dumb. There's a lot of people that got no lives. They got nothing going on. They're insane. They get radicalized. You could be radicalized from, going to a different country, from the internet, to reading the New York Times, to watching MS Now. It doesn't take a lot these days to radicalize somebody. So not everybody's paid. Not every single election is rigged. Like Mamdani, he actually won. New Yorkers were enthusiastic about this putz. So I don't believe this guy was hired. I could be wrong, but he just fits the description of every person that I know that hates Trump. Every one of them. Like Jimmy Kimmel. He's no different than Jimmy Kimmel. He just grabbed a couple of guns and went to D.C. because he's probably more insane. But what else did we learn yesterday, Noam?
I think you got most of it there. I mean, I will point out, though, that the White House Chief of Staff, Susie Wiles, yesterday she met with the Secret Service, Department of Homeland Security, about the president's protection in the upcoming weeks. So there is clearly some worry on the part of the White House that the Secret Service may not be doing enough.
Well, they may not be doing enough. They haven't been paid in 73 days. Maybe that's part of the problem. Maybe, I don't know. I know the higher-ups, they are getting paid. But a lot of the folks underneath them have not been paid for 73 days. That's part of the problem. So while Hakeem Jeffries is doubling down yesterday about warfare and calling out Caroline Leavitt, this Democrat punk, Hakeem Jeffries, he's part of the problem. He kept saying all day yesterday, this is a Republican shutdown. We know that's not true. We know it's a Schumer shutdown. We know it's the Democrats that are shutting down the government. We know that. Any sane person knows that. But you got to pay these guys at some point. And yes, there are a ton of legitimate questions. But to say that the Secret Service failed is kind of silly, no? I mean, I guess failure would be, well, the president got shot. Or, God forbid, the president got killed. The guy got nowhere near the president. Did they really fail? I know this is semantics. What word do we use to describe what they did? I would say that it's fair to ask a lot of questions, that, yes, it's another event where things need to get better. But I would make the argument it was the venue that provided most of the issues rather than the Secret Service. Or is that silly?
No, it's a gigantic hotel, and so maybe it's just really incredibly hard to protect. And
right.
So,
Israel, they actually clear out every hotel. They've got a big event, and Bibi Netanyahu is going to be there. They clear out the hotel. There are no guests. So we didn't do that here in D.C. There are a lot of people, thousands, Bill O'Reilly said, just milling around from the hotel. That's almost impossible for these folks to do their best job there. So, yes, we need to take a look at exactly where that initial perimeter went bad for the Secret Service. But more importantly, we can't put the president, the vice president, and all those folks in a place like that where it becomes almost impossible to protect them. That would be my argument.
Yeah, we just don't want to come to a place where he can't go out and speak at hotels and convention centers like he normally does.
Right. We don't want to get there, sure. Yeah. So Jimmy Kimmel is, he's doubling down. He came out and he said, he made this terrible joke. I don't know, it wasn't funny, but I'll play it again. This is cut 6. It's quick. It's 7 seconds. This was the joke that got Jimmy Kimmel in hot water again yesterday.
Our First Lady Melania is here. Look at Melania, so beautiful. Mrs. Trump, you have a glow like an expectant widow.
I mean, come on. That's not funny, you moron. So what happens is he goes on the air last night, and the best defense is a good offense. So if he said nothing about it, right, just did his show, which gets terrible ratings, that's the funny part about all this. He doesn't get any ratings. You would think he was a blockbuster on ABC. Disney and ABC, they bend over backwards to keep this guy employed. I don't know why. His ratings are dreadful. Oh, my God. John Shell officially announced he's running for mayor. 2029, the former NYPD chief, John Shell, officially running for mayor. He's been talking about it on my Twitter page for like 5 days. I keep telling him, don't run because I'm running, and you're not going to beat me in a primary, but he did it. He did it. So Shell has officially announced he's running for mayor. But getting back to Kimmel, the guy gets no ratings. I mean, none. And they bend over backwards to appease him. So he goes on the defense last night, or the offense, you can pick it, and he explains this had nothing to do with an assassination attempt, obviously. He had no idea that was going to happen because he made the joke 2 days before Cole Allen Thomas did what he did. He talked about age. So here was Jimmy Kimmel's lame excuse for his horrible joke. Told it last night, courtesy of ABC Lewis, cut number 7.
We had a little roast. Again, this was Thursday, and there was no big reaction to it until this morning.
Because nobody listens or watches.
Greeted the day facing yet another Twitter vomit storm. And a call to fire me from our First Lady, Melania Trump, saying I should be fired because of a joke I made, again, 5 nights ago. It was a pretend roast. I said, our First Lady Melania is here. Look at her, so beautiful. Mrs. Trump, you have a glow like an expectant widow, which...
Said it again.
Obviously was a joke about their age difference.
Oh, obviously.
And the look of joy we see on her face every time they're together. It was a very light roast joke about the fact that he's almost 80 and she's younger than I am. It was not, by any stretch of the definition, a call to assassination, and they know that. I've been very vocal for many years speaking out against gun violence in particular, but I understand that the First Lady had a stressful experience over the weekend, and probably every weekend.
So there you go. So he made the claim. Nobody made a big deal about it when he first made the joke. You know why, Jimmy? Because nobody watches you. That's why. You know, even when I did the whole Williams sister thing I got in trouble for on Imus, I did that same thing down in Florida. Nobody bat an eyelash. And nobody was listening. And you go to a major market like New York, you say the same thing you said in Florida, and the next thing you know, you're fired. Jimmy Kimmel, nobody watches you. Nobody. But when that comment got out, I'm sure a lot of people watched you last night, and that's why you went on the offense to defend yourself, talking about age. And maybe it was age, because you're right. He did make the joke 2 nights before Cole Allen Thomas tried to kill the president. He would have known that. I actually had dopey people on my social media say, hey, Sid, do you think Jimmy knew? Guys, calm down, please. Please. I can't defend the people that listen to me and my party when you say idiotic things like that. Yeah, Jimmy knew. Cole Allen Thomas, before he left on the train to Chicago, called Jimmy Kimmel and said, hey, that joke is going to work out because I'm going to go kill the president tomorrow night. Of course he didn't know. Don't be stupid. But it doesn't matter. It's a very sensitive subject, the assassination of the President of the United States, and you can try to explain it away that he's older. He will be 80, President Trump, on June the 14th on Flag Day. Melania much younger, obviously. But it's still in poor taste, and the timing could not have been worse for Jimmy. They tried to fire him last year. Why, folks? Because his ratings stink. If he had big-time ratings, it would never be an issue. But they're paying him a lot of money, too much money, and he gets no ratings. And he's done it again. So you have to consider, when will ABC and Disney do the right thing and get rid of this hack? No one's going to care. Nobody. Folks, this is not Johnny Carson. This is not David Letterman. This is not Jay Leno. Nobody cares about any of these guys. Not Jimmy Fallon, not Jimmy Kimmel. I don't even know who else is on. Is Magic Johnson still on?
I think he got canceled a while ago, yeah.
Pat Sajak?
No, he's not on anymore.
Chevy
no.
Chase?
No.
Oh, George Lopez is still on?
No, he's not on either.
Conan O'Brien?
No.
That's my point. Nobody knows and nobody cares. This is not Johnny Carson and Steve Allen. Just get rid of these people. Get rid of Jimmy Kimmel. He's a cancer. He's not funny. And he wakes up every day so angry about the President of the United States. Why? He's got millions and millions of dollars. I'm angry, but I don't have Jimmy's money. If I had Jimmy's money, trust me, you'd never hear me yell and scream about anything. I'd be fine. I couldn't care less what the mayor is doing to this city. I'd be living in Carmel by the ocean. That's where I'd be right now. But I'm not. I'm here, so I have to be the voice for the sane New Yorkers who know that this mayor is destroying whatever's left of our city. There's not much left after 12 years of de Blasio and Adams, and that a person like Jimmy Kimmel is a complete scumbag. That's why I'm here. And then you've got Ilhan Omar. Well, she looked at the 2 Roman numerals for the number 2, and she thought for some reason that represented the number 11. I mean, this one is really unbelievable. This lady's worth about $30 million. She is an outright anti-American, anti-Semite, hateful Congress member, says and does what she wants. I know that there's all kinds of efforts to censure her and kick her out. None of it's going to work. She is there because the fine people of Minnesota continue to vote for this wretched hag, this wench. But here's what you had to say yesterday about World War II. She got her numbers a little confused. This is Ilhan Omar, cut number 12.
The last time the Alien Enemies Act was invoked, it was used to detain and deport German, Japanese, Italian immigrants during World War XI.
No, sweetheart. No. So Matt Morse, some famous YouTuber, had to come in and correct stupid Omar. This would be cut number 13.
Ladies and gentlemen, Ilhan Omar just said the single stupidest thing I have ever heard in my entire life. I'm sorry, how many world wars have we had? Last I checked, it was only 2.
Yeah, that would not 11. Yeah. We're in big trouble, no? What do you think?
Yeah, I was never good with Roman numerals, but I knew that, the two Roman numerals was two.
Sure.
Yeah, I could figure that out. But then when you start putting the other stuff in, I always get confused. Yeah.
And Bo Dietl must be in a better mood today because I know that when the judge came out and said no murder one for Guy Rivera, and, I kept saying to Bo, he's still going to get 90 years. No, he's not. We've got 45 cop killers out there today, and Bo's right, we do. And I'm glad that Bo Dietl, who's coming up in about an hour, brings attention to that, because that does go straight to Andrew Cuomo and Kathy Hochul. If you're looking for a reason to vote for Bruce Blakeman, I've got 90. I've got 90 reasons, but here's one for you. The combination of Andrew Cuomo and Kathy Hochul allow cop killers to roam our streets. Isn't that a good one? But I said to Bo, this guy's getting 90 years. You don't know that? Well, I was wrong. He got 115. And you got to love the judge when he said he will never see the light of day. The judge actually said that in the courtroom yesterday. He said, this guy is going to die in prison. Didn't he say that? No.
He did.
That was awesome. So when the judge screws up on this show, I make sure you know the judge's name. So I've said the name Guy Mitchell over and over again. If you've forgotten who Guy Mitchell is, he's the judge who sentenced our great Sergeant Eric Duran to 3 to 9 years in prison for defending himself and other innocent folks from a wilding drug dealer. Guy Mitchell is the jerk-off judge that gave Duran 3 to 9 years. So if I'm going to do that, I got to give Michael Alois credit. And if the last name sounds familiar, Alois, it should, because his daughter Nicole actually ran against Ann Donnelly, you may remember, for DA of Nassau County. And you remember those commercials? I guess Nicole wanted to hire convicts and felons to work on her campaign. I actually got to the point where one day Arthur Idala called me, and he said, hey, will you do me a favor? I know you're endorsing Ann Donnelly, and Ann's a good friend of mine. I love Ann. But Nicole really wants to talk to you. Her father, Michael, the judge, yesterday, reached out, and so Arthur set up the phone call, and I spoke to Nicole, and she was very nice. She said, Sidney, I don't want to hire convicted felons. She explained away a lot of the stuff that was out there. I said, listen, I'm still endorsing Ann Donnelly. She said, as you should. She was very nice, very sweet. And it turns out her father, again, is Michael Alois, who came up very, very big yesterday. Thank you, Michael, giving this animal 115 years. So if we're going to clobber Guy Mitchell, and that is deserved, we need to give Michael Alois the credit today for making sure that Guy Rivera will never see the light of day. And that's a good thing. All right, we got a big, big show coming up today. A lot of great guests. Marc Beckman was just on Fox and Friends. He happens to be the voice for First Lady Melania. Everything she says, he says it first, and he does most of her public appearances. He'll join us today. We'll talk to Nicole Parker, former FBI agent. Now there's a lot of TV spots for Fox News. We'll talk to Gordon Chang today. In my opinion, maybe the most powerful of all the House members out of the great state of Ohio, Jim Jordan. He's going to be here today. Bo Dietl, Vincent Vallelong. Oh, it's a big Tuesday. Sid and Friends in the morning. Let's get this going, baby.
Sid and Friends in the morning on the Red Apple Podcast Network.
A long day in the city today. Got the honor later on this afternoon of being the next guest on We'll Do It Live. You remember that very famous Bill O'Reilly? I guess he kind of freaked out. I don't know. Was that Inside Edition? I think it was.
Yeah.
Yeah. Inside Edition, and We'll Do It Live. So he does a podcast now, which everybody does. Everybody. Whether you're in television or radio, you got to have your own podcast. That's it. You have to. And so he does his We'll Do It Live. I guess he started that, about 2 months ago? I think it was about 2 months ago. And he brings on great guests. He's had Rob Schneider, the hilarious comedic actor, Adam Sandler's best friend. Rob happens to be a very, very devoted Republican. He's on Fox News all the time. So he's had Schneider. A couple of weeks ago, we had Bobby Bacala / Anthony from Blue Bloods, the great actor, and our friend Steve Sharippa. So he brings on some very entertaining people, New Yorkers, for that matter. And today I've got the honor of being Bill O'Reilly's next guest. So I think I have to meet Bill at about 5 o'clock this afternoon, which keeps me in the city all day. Can't go back to Queens and then make it back. That's why eventually I got to get a place in the city. Suzanne, you got to work it out. Keep going back and forth and back and forth and back and forth. Stu Podolsky is great to me. Thank you, Stuart, but it's just hard. So I have to figure out what I'm going to do today. I may just go to Justin's house and take a nap.
What?
What's that?
Yeah, have fun. Yeah.
Yeah, what?
Yeah, no. You can sleep on my couch that I haven't washed in.
Listen.
Not once.
How many times in the last couple of years have you and I talked about me?
Yeah,
I got an hour or two to kill.
I always say, come on by.
Right, but I'm so scared to go to your apartment.
I know that
because there's no way I'm not going to leave with like scurvy or rickets, with some monkeypox or something. I mean,
he has a loft bed, right? You,
I do.
You have a ladder that climbs up to your bed, right?
Yes.
So you would have to climb that ladder if you wanted to take.
Yes, every night and every morning I do it naked.
No, but you got a couch downstairs from the loft, right?
Yes.
What do you have in that apartment exactly?
It's a studio apartment. It's 500 square feet. Does that sound right?
That's about right.
Yeah. And so you walk in. It's a kitchen. To the right is a little.
Is it
bathroom.
like a
To the
real
left
kitchen? Like you don't
it's a
cook
big-
in there?
Yeah, I do.
Okay.
It's a stove.
All right, you got a stove
with an oven.
Mm-hmm.
And
you got a refrigerator in that joint?
I've got a broiler. And,
You got a broiler?
and, I've got a couple cabinets.
Right.
And then you look to my left, and you see my air conditioning unit with the big tube that snakes through the entire unit and through the window. And
what a mess.
Then you see my couch, my big flat screen TV. That's
Then you have this nasty bathroom with like old rust stains.
No, I actually do clean my toilet.
It doesn't matter. Those the old apartments with the bathrooms are just small and nasty.
Yeah, I mean it's a New York City studio apartment, 5-floor walk up. What do you expect?
Yeah, you have to walk up 5 floors.
Yeah,
you don't have an elevator in your building?
Nope.
Oh no, stop it!
I don't even have a doorman. I don't even have a lobby. My lobby is just a hallway.
Really?
With mailboxes in it. Yeah.
How much is this joint?
It's about $1,700-$1,800 a month.
Jeez,
I got the best deal in New York.
Wow, that's
City.
amazing. Actually, yeah.
It's amazing.
Yeah, that's a great deal.
No doorman, no elevator.
No,
500 square feet.
I look every year.
They should be paying you to stay there.
Yeah, I pop into a couple units every year just to see what's around, and it's 6-floor walk-ups.
What are you talking about?
Space.
There are buildings
$600 more.
There are buildings with elevators in this city.
Yeah, but not for what I'm willing to pay.
Yeah.
I'm not going to pay. I'm not paying $3,000 for a 1-bedroom apartment.
But what do you do when you have like a whole bunch of food and stuff that you have to? You go shopping.
Yeah, I got a Trader Joe's 3 blocks down the road.
And do they carry it up for you? And you just tip them?
What? I go food shopping and I carry my bags 5 blocks to my apartment.
No, then you have to walk up 5 flights.
Yes.
What a horrible existence! My God, Jesus! No.
Imagine when I try to have a girl over. Then it gets really.
What do they say when girls come over?
When that
they
day
usually
happens.
come up. Yeah, when that day happens, right? When one finally miraculously finds its way into my unit.
And after hearing this description, it won't be for a while.
Well, they're usually out of breath, so it takes them a while. They gotta catch their breath, and then they say, "I'm never doing that again."
Of course, they can't leave for a while because they can't breathe. So you basically have them stuck there for
exactly. And then I'm having to do muscle ups up the ladder to get into my bed.
Well, they have ready-made excuse. Out of breath.
All right, I got to talk to Vinny.
Justin.
We'll take a short break when we get back. That's good stuff, Justin. As I mentioned early this morning, it turns out that the Sergeants Benevolent Association, led by my dear friend Vincent Vallelong, has now filed a formal complaint against the council speaker, Julie Menon. What could that possibly be? You're about to find out. Once again, the great Vincent Vallelong is back on Sid and Friends in the morning. He's next.
This is Sid on Sports. Sponsored by Peerless Boilers on 77 WABC.
Justin Ellick here with your sports update, sponsored by Pete Morgan and Peerless Boilers. Go to peerlessboilers.com to find a deal under you. Peerless Boilers, the world's best-built boilers, start out in Arlington. Aaron Judge and Ben Rice had the first back-to-back homers for the Yankees this season. Jazz Chisholm Jr. also went deep as AL Best New York beat the Rangers 4-2 in the opener of a 3-game set. Up next for the Yankees, Cam Schlittler will get the start in tonight's middle game against Jacob deGrom. First pitch from Arlington is scheduled for 8:05 p.m. Also tonight, the Mets, they're back at home at Citi Field. 7:10 p.m. first pitch against the visiting Washington Nationals. It's the opener of a 3-game series there. Clay Holmes will get the start against Washington's Zach Littell. Head to the Hardwood. We're looking ahead to an 8 p.m. start tonight at the Garden. Knicks welcoming in the Atlanta Hawks for Game 5 of their first-round Eastern Conference playoff series. That series knotted at 2 games apiece, and our Knicks 6.5-point favorites heading into tonight's contest. Last night on the Hardwood out in Orlando, the Magic beat the Pistons once again, 94-88. Now, once Detroit backs up against the wall, down 3-1.
Huge upset. No one could have seen this coming.
Oh my God.
Detroit, wire to wire, the best team in the NBA this season. They get Cade Cunningham back. No one could have predicted they would lose. They haven't yet, but they got to win 3 straight.
Yeah.
Lose to the Orlando Magic. Unbelievable.
It's crazy.
Yeah.
Really big shakeup there in the East, if that does happen, heading into the second round.
All this works out well for the Knicks.
It really does.
They get past Atlanta. I mean, Boston is still there in Boston.
Gotta get past Atlanta first. Here we go. Come on now. Out in Phoenix, the Thunder beating the Suns 131-122. So OKC sweeps that series 4 games to none. They'll play the winner of the Lakers and Rockets series in the Western Conference semifinals. And out in Denver, Timberwolves beating the Nuggets 113-125 out west. That's a Game 5 there. Minnesota now leading that series 3-2. That's your sports, sponsored by Pete Morgan and Peerless Boilers. Go to peerlessboilers.com to find a deal near you. Peerless Boilers, the world's best built boilers. I'm Justin Ellick on 77 WABC.
Sid and Friends in the morning on the Red Apple Podcast Network.
I spoke to the police commissioner to ask for his immediate release, and I'm here today to support Councilmember Osei. Thank you.
Oh, no. You're not supposed to do that, Julie. Council Speaker Julie Menin. Olga Pizmenti tells me this morning that Michael Alois, the judge, that pretty much made sure yesterday that Jonathan Diller's killer, Guy Rivera, will never, ever, ever see the light of day. Although you never know with these parole boards, but he'll never get out. Either way, Michael Alois, she tells me, is retiring this week. Didn't know that, so he's had a great career. Thank you, Michael. That was Julie Menin. You know my history with Julie. You know, I endorsed her in a big way over Crystal Hudson. I was told, listen, she's Jewish, Sid, she's moderate. So I endorsed her, and then she came on this show. I finally got her on. We missed a couple of lunch dates and other appearances, but she came on one morning. She was very gracious because that was the day when New York was freaking out because Mamdani, that prick, once again was threatening New Yorkers. That day it was the 9.5% property tax increase. So Menin came on and did a great job and explained to me and you guys that he can't do it because she has the last say and she will not allow it. So she was great. And I told her how great she is and battling anti-Semitism. I really laid it on. And then the very next day, she called me an Islamophobe in the media. Why? Because Mamdani's people got pissed off that she was on with me. They tried to do that to Jessica Tisch, but my friend Jesse wouldn't do it. But Julie did. She did it twice. Twice she called me. But I still let it go. I forgave her. I did. Because she's done some good things, tried at least, the buffer zones, a few other things along the way. So I started to feel a little better about Julie, including a nice text. But now it turns out that she may have overstepped her boundaries by defending one of the biggest losers in any job in this city, and that is the lunatic progressive city council member Chiose, who was arrested last week in Brooklyn. Of course, that didn't stop the mayor and Menin and others from defending him as a great city council member because deed theft is such an issue in this city. That may be true. Deed theft may be an issue in this city. It may be. It probably is. That doesn't mean that Chiose should show up at some protest and elbow some cop and then claim that he's the victim and then have his speaker there to defend him. The speaker should have defended the cops. But that's becoming a bigger issue in this city. And Julie is not anti-cop, okay? I'm sorry. We're going to talk about this complaint right now, and she did overstep her boundary, and she probably should be. She probably should be punished, but I don't believe in her heart, like Mamdani, she's anti-cop. But this is not my complaint. It's the SBA, the Sergeants Benevolent Association. My dear friend, he's a great cop and a great president. Vincent Vallelong is here to join me live right now. Vin, good Tuesday morning, buddy. How are you?
Good. How are you, Sid?
I'm great. Give me the details on this. I've got 4 pages in front of me. I'll read the first paragraph. On behalf of the Sergeants Benevolent Association, benevolent, odd word, we submit this formal complaint requesting that the board investigate the conduct of Council Speaker Julie Menin, as we believe Speaker Menin has violated 2604 of Chapter 68 of the New York City Charter and related provisions of the Conflicts of Interest laws. One more. This complaint arises from Speaker Menin's reported actions and public statements on April 22nd, 2026, in connection with the arrest of Council Member Chi Osei. Specifically, Speaker Menin is reported to have directly contacted the police commissioner regarding the incident and to have publicly weighed in on the propriety of the arrest and its handling. So, to make it nice and simple, she's not supposed to contact the police commissioner. She's not supposed to use her title to try to get people in her council out of trouble. That easy, right, Vince?
Yeah, and you're not allowed to make the police officers and women of this job punching bags for your political posturing, which is exactly what happened with Osei. All right, he resisted arrest, he refused to comply, and he got put down to the ground, which in my day and age, he got laid down on the ground, to be honest with you. Osei was in a place where he should not have been. This was all about him and his political office. And what really got me going on all of this was that where are the lines drawn where they're accountable on their end? And when the Speaker of the City Council shows up at a pre-planned or a pop-up press conference, and she's standing side by side with an individual that just put police and the civilians on the street their security basically was breached at that point in time. He was right on top of the police officers. I mean, she didn't know that, but she showed up right next to him, stood next to him, and just by her being there and being the Speaker of the House sent a shocking message probably to all 51 of those council members, where they're allowed to basically look at her from now on being their get-out-of-jail-free card.
I agree with everything you're saying, and I don't believe there's a bigger loser. I mean that. This guy, Osei, is a loser. He says things on the floor that you wouldn't believe. Everything from calling President Trump a pedophile, right there. Never, ever, ever been punished. He was the guy that called me a racist piece of shizzle on my Twitter account on that Monday night when he, like every other Democrat, joined together in bashing me because of what I said about Mamdani. But let me play devil's advocate for a second, okay? Let's just say, Vince, that you are a detective, okay? A sergeant. And this sergeant did something that even you weren't sure was right. Being the president of that union, whether you believed it was right or wrong, wouldn't you be standing right next to that sergeant because he's your guy?
Sid, when was the last time you ever seen a Speaker of the City Council stand next to someone who was just locked up? In my day and age, I don't remember that ever happening.
I don't either.
It sends a terrible message. And I'm not saying that she's anti-police. I'm not. However, the message that she sent and the words that she used, that she basically springboarded off of Osei's, that they contacted the police department to get him out early, and that other people were still in there, and he would not have been out if it wasn't for his position that he held. He clearly states that those are violations of the city charter.
Do we know?
And What recourse do we have on our end with the police department?
No, you're doing the right thing. Do we know, Vincent, the conversation? Did she speak directly to Tish? Did she speak to Delaney Kempner? Did she speak to somebody?
I wasn't privy to any of that. But you know what? Okay. I'm going off of what it is that they displayed to the general public, that they clearly stated in their press conference that they went out and reached out for preferential treatment to get Osei out. Okay, which I have 3 of my sergeants that are in that video. All right, I have police officers that are in that video. Their safety is the ones who were in jeopardy at that point in time, because he's there to rile up a crowd, nothing more. All right, that is not what a city council man or a city council woman could be doing. So it needs to be investigated. Every time these people decide they're going to come out to these demonstrations, they're going to put our people in jeopardy, I'm going to file these types of complaints against them. Okay? I'm not saying I'm going to do it frivolously. When they do something wrong, I am going to come after them the same way they would me and any of my people.
Listen, there's no question. This is why Mamdani is such a lying piece of garbage when he comes out and talks about, well, there's no room for political violence after what happened to President Trump on Saturday. But he's all for his people in the streets causing all kinds of chaos, which does include violence. That's why Mamdani's a liar. And like Menon, he was out there publicly defending Osei. Now, again, you're going after Menon because she is the city council speaker, and he's a member of that council, so clearly it was a favoritism deal. Now, you said that he resisted arrest. I got to take it a step further. I'm pretty sure, Vincent, that I saw in that video, not only did he resist arrest, but I believe he was the first. He was the first to get violent when he elbowed a female police officer. Did I not see that?
Everybody's seen that on that video, and it didn't look like he got thrown to the ground, or I don't know how fragile his head is, that he was so woozy afterwards, but it didn't look like that he was physically trampled on when he got put down to the ground, and nor did he actually comply with the police officers. He was literally inches away from them, all of them at that point in time. He had no purpose being there at all.
I'm looking at what you guys respectfully request. You want to initiate a formal investigation into Speaker Menon's communications with the NYPD, including any direct or indirect contact with Jessica. Subpoena and review all relevant communications, including call logs, emails, text messages, and stamp-assisted correspondence. Determine whether Speaker Menon's actions violated New York City Charter 2604 or related provisions, impose appropriate sanctions and or guidance to prevent similar conduct in the future. Anything there that did I miss anything there, Vince?
No, you didn't. And you know what they did by getting up and basically calling out the police commissioner the way they did was put her on the spot, which is not fair. There are channels that they can go through in order to find out what the status is of Osei in the 7-9 precinct. They didn't do that. They felt it was in their right to go a direct line. They just cut through all of the BS and went right to the direct line, and then immediately all showed up for a little press conference so that they can all be seen as doing something, great for the community. The police were called to this location. It's not like we generated this, and they're going to make us to be the scapegoats on this whole thing. This is because of their actions, and their actions need to be investigated, and that's what I'm calling for. This all stemmed from Osei. There was when Menon got up there, I was shocked that she said that she directly reached out to the police commissioner, and that they were happy that Osei got out. When he did, and he got out a lot quicker than anybody in the general public would have ever gotten out of that precinct.
Well, that speaks to a favor. That's not good. Play that one more time, Lewis, just to really drive this point home for my friend Vincent. Julie Menon, cut number 15, got her on tape, red-handed, called the police commissioner. This is cut number 15.
I spoke to the police commissioner to ask for his immediate release, and I'm here today to support Councilmember Osei. Thank you.
Have you heard anything back yet from Menon, her office, anybody at the city council?
Someone from her office called me last week, and that was it. There was nothing else. And,
but last week, you did not, as far as I know, Vincent, you did not file this formal complaint until yesterday, right?
Well, you have to remember, I'm not going to file a formal complaint just writing down on a piece of paper, what it is I feel. I have to sit down and talk to my lawyers, see exactly what the direction is we can go, and make sure that certain things were violated according to the city charter. And I'm not going to go into a game and then not bring a playbook with me. You have to have an idea of how it is you're going to conduct that game. And at the end of the day, I'm not going to look like a fool when I file these papers. So yeah, we waited the whole weekend. We put everything together. I sat with the attorneys, and this is what we put up.
No, it's fair. I mean, you're going by the rules. The rules here don't.
And that is what I will always do, Sid.
Yeah, no. Are you more upset with Julie Menin or Chi Osei? Or both?
You expect it from Osei, all right? But when the Speaker of the City Council gets up there, whether it's Democrat or Republican, all right, and I don't take sides with this. As long as you're doing right by my people, I'm good with it. But when you stand up there, it sends a shocking message to every other city councilman and every other citizen in New York that, you know what, you're allowed to do whatever you want to do, and you can point your fingers and make the police the scapegoat. That's not going to happen under my watch.
Love it. Vincent Vallelong is the president of the SBA, the Sergeants Union here in New York, and I think he's doing a great thing here. He's not going to stand for it. Chi Osei clearly out of line. That's at the very least at a protest last week, despite what the mayor and the city council speaker say about him. He was out of line, if not doing something illegal. And here comes the city council speaker defending him. Okay, let's see what they do, what Menin does, what our office does, and where this goes. But I think you've done the right thing here. Let me check in, too, about Eric Duran. Of course, he was allowed to go home, posted bail last week. Arthur Idala said, Sid, the first thing he did was he went to church. He went to church, and he thanked God for all of these opportunities. Now, where are we exactly with the Duran case?
Well, you have Arthur, who I speak to regularly. He's obviously him and his team are putting together, the best line of course of action they can for Eric. I believe they also have another help on their team, which is I believe your daughter's going to be involved in this too.
She is.
Yep. So,
thank you. Which
is excellent. But listen, Eric was in a bad place. I mean, there's no two ifs, ands, and buts about it. Elmira was a bad place. And when I went to go see him the other day, I can tell you that I was ecstatic that he had a brighter look on his face. That he was with his family, which was most important to him. His wife was beaming that he was home. But he was everything that we see in the movies about how bad prison is, and the disgust is exactly what was described to me. He should never, ever have been put in that situation.
Guy Mitchell, that's the judge who put him there. But Michael Alois came up big yesterday for Jonathan Diller. I know another case that you spent a lot of time paying attention to, and I know, like me, you've met Stephanie Diller along the way. Your thoughts on the sentencing for Guy Rivera, which we found out yesterday?
He deserves everything that he gets. Matter of fact, he deserves a lot more, but unfortunately, we're not going to see that. Hopefully, like you said before, he does not see the light of day. It was a great mic drop for the judge that he's retiring on this case, and he sends a strong message going out to the general public that, this won't be tolerated, and it shouldn't be tolerated. Taking the life of a police officer affects their families, and, the Diller family, my heart goes out to them. It is... That was not solace which she got the other day. That was just a wound being reopened again.
That's well said. So on the way out, Vincent, again, is there a timeline in your head that you expect to hear back from Julie Menin, not somebody in her office, from her particularly, or do you not care? You just want to hear from somebody in that office ASAP? No, I think you need some sort of dialogue going back and forth. I don't despise Julie Menin. But I just do not like the course of action that they took. No one ever reached out to us, but they can reach out to everybody else in order to get the facts. Maybe we would have been going to give them information where this would never have even had to come to that. But, we're getting nothing from the other side, meaning the union representatives. And, you're going to leave me to go right down the rule of the law. If you're going to go down that path and you think you're righteous, I'm going to look at exactly what the laws are, and we're going to use them against you. And I'm going to go, if it's filing complaints like this is how it is that I have to do in order to protect my membership, that's exactly what I'm going to do every single day. Or the guys and gals, the sergeants here in New York City are so lucky to have you. I mean, I know you and I have become really good friends. I do love you, but you are one tough hero SOB in this city. I can't say enough good things about you, Vincent Vallelong. I thought you did a great job with this. I look forward to hearing Julie Menon's response. And again, New York City, we're very lucky to have you, pal. Thank you so much.
Thanks, Sid. Have a great day. Great day.
You too. Vincent Vallelong right there, the president of the SBA, and he's standing up for his cops. Chiose is a liar. Let me say it again. Chiose is a liar. He's a provocateur. He's a troublemaker. And the problem is he's got some relatively big folks in this city, like the a-hole mayor and Julie Menon and others, that go out of their way to defend him when he is indefensible. He is a lowlife. Chiose is a lowlife. Way to go, Vallelong. We'll take a break. Naomi's got the news. So many great guests still to come. Marc Beckman, he was just on Fox News. He's the mouthpiece for Melania Trump. Jimmy Kimmel, you're not funny. We'll talk to Marc Beckman. Nicole Parker, former FBI agent, now on Fox News almost every day. Gordon Chang, Bo Dietl, Jim Jordan from the House, and more. Tuesday, Sid and Friends in the Morning rolls on.
Sid and Friends in the Morning on the Red Apple Podcast Network.
Rob Thomas, great song, Someday. He's a lead singer, of course, of Matchbox 20, but I like this song. His own work, Someday. And I spend a lot of days thinking about someday as a parent, you know. And I just heard Bill O'Reilly talk about Cole Allen, who really was out of his mind. It was just one of the dumbest plans I've ever seen. I know he can run, and he's going to keep running past all these agents. He was not really close to the president. We got to stop with that. He nearly killed him. He wasn't even close, and there was no way he was going to get close. You can argue that he got a little too close for your comfort, but he was not going to get close. And the real conversation should be more about the venue, a hotel like that, where there's thousands and thousands of people milling around, than the fact that he got past the first group of folks. And, you know, look, they haven't been paid for 73 days. And, yes, you can make the argument that it wasn't perfect, it wasn't great. But at no point was the president's life really in danger. His plan was stupid. He's going to keep running past all these people. The one thing I don't get, though, Noam, is that he was able to get off a bunch of shots. Somebody said he got up as many as 5 shots. He hit a cop whose bulletproof vest seemingly saved that cop's life, but nobody shot the perp.
Yeah, it doesn't make sense to me why
Makes
he
no
wasn't.
sense.
Within seconds, he wasn't shot
Right.
dead.
Should have been dead. Should have been dead. So there are some other questions. We're going to talk to Nicole Parker coming up. Worked for the FBI for many years. We'll talk to Bo Dietl. But that song, I remember hearing that song on the way to Ava's graduation in Wales, in the UK. King Charles is here now. Last summer. And it was very cute just now to hear the SBA president, Vincent Vallelong, unprovoked, bring up my daughter Ava. She does work with Arthur Aidala now. She's preparing to take the bar next year. She may be going to Pennsylvania or Columbia, one of these Ivy League schools, to finish out her law work. I'm so proud of her. And then my son, Gabriel, is going to take the SAT on Saturday. This is a very, very big day for my son and for me and Danielle. He would like to go to University of Florida. We know what he has to get. He's been doing these practice SATs every weekend with tutoring.
Not fun.
Not fun. He's been doing it for the last couple of months. He hates every second of it, but he keeps coming back with scores somewhere between 1,300 and 1,440.
Oh, my God.
And if he gets that, he's going to Florida. So we got a big day coming up Saturday with Gabriel, a big summer coming up with Ava. So at the end of the day, while all this is going on, America's become a crazy place. This is a whacked-out city led by a hateful, radical Islam, anti-American mayor. I take solace in the fact that I'm married to a beautiful, smart lady, and God has blessed us with 2 beautiful children. I'll take a break. When I get back, he's Uncle Bo at this point. Everybody loves him. Greatest cop in the history of this city. Some will argue that. That's fine. He's right up there either way. The great Bo Dietl, his Tuesday appearance on Sid and Friends in the Morning. Uncle Bo, he's next.
Sid and Friends in the Morning on the Red Apple Podcast Network.
Nice, Van Halen. Come on, baby. This gorgeous Tuesday morning. Bo Dietl is here every Tuesday. It's one of the most popular segments on this show because he's great. Bo, what were you doing with Michael Martucci last night? Where was that picture from?
I was never with Michael Martucci, that little midget. I don't even like the guy. I don't know where the picture's from. Now,
what are you talking about? I saw a picture on Facebook last night of the two of you guys.
That's Fugazi. I was not with him. He called me the other day. I said, lose my number, that little munchkin. He thinks he's Frank Sinatra. Frank Sinatra passed win bigger than him. Stop it. Okay, let's get into a couple of things. There's a reason why the president appointed me on the Homeland Security Advisory. Yesterday, I was in communication with Homeland Security, Mark Wayne Mellon. I'm not going to get into exactly everything, but I got to clarify a couple of things. First of all, thank you, Judge Ellis, on the Jonathan Diller, 115 years. That's wonderful. But let me give you the real facts, all right? The example now is 45 years to life. That's without parole, not 25 to life. There have been 16 cop killers that have been released. Example, Herman Bell that killed Piagentini, Waverly Jones. They're all out of jail. The one I locked up, that scumbag Christopher Thomas, killed 10, including 8 children. He only did 32 years, and he got 25 to life. So you know what the problem is? The friggin' liberal parole board and Governor Cuomo and all these scumbags up there are the ones releasing him.
Well, but if you listen to me this morning in the first hour, I said that, and I gave you the credit.
God bless that judge. That's all I tell you. He exactly feels what is supposed to be, and that's what should be. But is it going to happen, Sid? We don't think. I don't think so.
All right. Listen, you do have precedents and you do have proof because you keep making this point, and you're right. And it's a scary point, but you've been right more than you've been wrong. We'll see. Yeah.
People forget. Yeah. I don't forget that beautiful Jonathan Diller's wife crying her eyes out. And I just, you know what it is? I've experienced it. I'm sorry. Too many cop killers around. Too many murders around with these bleeding heart liberals. Now, this is the most important part of my conversations this morning. Please listen up. Okay. You know, I've worked many conventions and security details with the president speaking. Biggest problem with this thing was the venue. That venue shouldn't have had more than 12 to 1,500 people to be safety. I'm not talking about security against terrorists. I'm talking about fire hazards. You had almost 2,400. You noticed when the guys come running in, they had to climb on top of tables. That was a security breach. They should have never allowed all those people in that room for safety reasons on top of it. Remember what happened in Iran when we threw that bomb buster? We got everybody. Why would we have all these cabinet members all together with the president, vice president in one place, and we are announcing this? Now we have this venue that's been announced. This is a public hotel. The guy, you could call him dumb. You could say anything you want. The guy was smart enough to bring the rifle there, bring this. He was a dummy, yes. Imagine if there was teams of real terrorists. They got 4 or 5 rooms, teams of 8 terrorists. All of a sudden, they run one guy, an idiot like that, through that line. If you notice, that line all chased them. What if there was backup guys coming? They would have went right through there, and we would have had a different circumstance. Right now, I got to let people understand one thing. They have security there. I say, the head of Homeland Security. They have these technologies now that they have these portable units where they set up these portable units. You can set up 2, 3 of these portable units. They have walls. They set these secure walls. You can't run around it. You've got to go through it. And then the different lines of defense. The reality is, why wasn't there a security person at the foot of that stairwell? Then what I saw was unarmed security guards guarding the ballroom. What the hell are unarmed security guards doing? You should have Secret Service. We should have Homeland Security. This was not done properly. By the grace of God, and I thank the good Lord, our president's safe, and all our cabinet members, but we got to reevaluate. This was something to wake us up again, because I'll tell you right now, percolating in real professionals' mind are ways to get to our president. And I want to stop it. And I will scream from the rooftops. Everybody, the Secret Service did a great job, but here's the but. if you notice, they were breaking down the magnetometers when this guy ran by. There was no security there. And then all of a sudden, the guy got that close. All right, he was one stairway down. Just imagine, Sid, if there was another two groups of guys coming in there.
Listen, you're right. If they had bombs, they wasn't. But you're right. They could do that. But my biggest concern is I disagree with all the folks, including Greg, that just hammered Secret Service. Yes, he got further than. No, I know. I'm with you on this. I think the venue was a bigger problem, and I do think they should add some more armed people there. But you got to explain this to me, Bo. How is it possible that nobody shot him?
I don't know that because, the other side of the coin is that you don't know if you're going to shoot somebody until you get into it. Everybody can walk around with guns on their hips and all that. When this stuff happens, everyone's hesitant to do something wrong. And that's what kills a lot of cops out there on the street. They don't fire fast enough because they're afraid of their job. My point is, when this guy ran through there, at that point, there were probably other people standing around and maybe the line of fire, maybe there were people between. He went pretty fast. The only reason why he went down is he slipped, I believe, and that's why he went down. They jumped on top of him. But again, we have to understand something. When that room was sealed, that's a sealed room. And then once this happened, people went in and out. The president wanted to go back in. You can't go back in. You don't know who else was in there. But the bottom line is someone has to do more of an expertise of the venue, of how we secure the venue. You know yourself, we went to the inauguration. We had to walk a mile, one checkpoint, walk another mile, another checkpoint, another perimeter. This is what it's all about. And you want to know something? Why wasn't that stairwell covered? There's different stairwells. You get a schematic of the building. You put people there, armed people there, not security guards. And that's when you get away with chief, because the hotel's the one that hires these unarmed security guards that are worth crap. When you got the president of the United States, you should have Secret Service and Homeland Security. Now, let's get to the real problem. We have a problem. We have a mentally challenged Hakeem Jeffries. Is this guy really a college graduate? He's a moron. Him and Plughead Schumer. They're fighting now to stop Homeland Security financing. Do you know what's under Homeland Security financing? Secret Service. Yes. We don't have enough manpower. We have to beef up. We've got to protect our president, and we've got to protect our cabinet. They're coming. And this was a jokester. This guy was a jokester trying to run through there. But the next time, it may be not going to be a jokester. It'll be a plot. And now what they got information. Watching this whole thing. Holy crap. We could have sent Abdul and send them all to hotel, get 5 rooms, bring all the people in there, and the next thing is we could have it systematically. We'll have Abdul run through there with a ham sandwich and let them grab him, and then we'll come in and we'll shoot the place up. Or how about this, Sid? Put a bomb in the room, carry down a knapsack, and then you know what? You go right outside that ballroom, blow a good incendiary device, that ceiling when it came down. We've got to protect our president. How many times is he going to be shot at or attempted to be shot at? Secret Service are great, but we got to tighten it up. I'm waiting to go to Washington. Right now, we got to call it the way it is. We are not that secure for our president, and we must tighten it up. And I stand by my president, and I will go to Washington, and I'm not afraid to say what's right and wrong. You know me a lot of years. Bo Dietl, I put my life on the line for that president. I love this president, and unless we tighten up, we're not going to have President Trump for the rest of his life here, because they're coming after us. This is a sign of what's to come for the future for our great president. We must protect him.
Well, that is well done and well said. Another amazing appearance by Bo Dietl. This is why his Tuesday appearance is so popular. He's right. We got to do a better job. And thank God we've got people like Bo Dietl on the Homeland Security Committee. I mean that. I like Mark Wayne Mullen, too. But we got to do a better job. There's a lot of things you can look back on Saturday and say, thank God that it wasn't what Bo just talked about, a bomb, or, 8 guys or 12 guys or 16 guys. I think Bo's also right that people take notice, the bad guys, of how these things end up or what happens during them so they can put together the next plot, and like both said, the next time it may be better because this was a clown. This guy's going to run past everybody and shoot the president. But they the real bad guys, they learn from stuff like this and they use it to their favor. Excellent appearance once again by Bo Dietl. We'll take a short break. He may be the most important member of Congress, maybe out of the great state of Ohio. Jim Jordan is back on Sid and Friends in the morning. Jim Jordan is next.
Sid and Friends in the morning on the Red Apple Podcast Network.
So you guys and gals know I'm very close with all the New York members of Congress. They're legitimately good friends. From Mike Lawler to Nicole Maliotakis, Garbarino, Lolota. Anthony D'Esposito was and still is one of my best buddies. But when you move outside of New York, this guy's my guy. He's the best. In Ohio, doing a tremendous job in Congress every day. And on this show quite a bit because we love him. Jim Jordan. Jim, good Tuesday morning, buddy. How are you?
I'm doing fine. So good to be with you, man.
Nice to have you back. It's... I know that we all talked about the same thing right after the shooting Saturday night about the rhetoric coming from the left, and a lot of us talked about on Sunday morning. I saw you with Maria and others. Well, we gotta calm it down. Look, do you realize in the last couple of days that Jimmy Kimmel, he's not a politician, but he's a lunatic lefty, doubled down on a bad assassination joke. You had Hakeem Jeffries, your friend in Congress, talking about warfare again. You had James Carville, who speaks for almost all the Democrats, came out yesterday and said, I don't want somebody to shoot President Trump. I want him to suffer. So what are we talking about? They're not going to lower the temperature. They hate us, Jim Jordan. That's the bottom line.
Well, and it's been, just got to look at the facts. 3 assassination attempts in 10 years. 10 years of nonstop attacks on the president. The things they've said, the weaponization of the government against him, the whole thing where they laundered the information from the Clinton campaign, turned it into the fancy dossier, which was all garbage, and used that as the basis to spy on President Trump's campaign. I mean, so it's just been a 10-year nonstop every single day, the media, the Democrats, the left, you name it. And then, I said this on Maria Sunday, I don't think it should be lost on anyone that the same week that we have the 3rd assassination attempt on President Trump is the week we find out the Southern Poverty Law Center was running a scam, and they were actually paying to promote the hate that they said they were supposedly fighting. And to the tune of $3 million over the last 8 years. And they put themselves out as the standard for evaluating what groups were hate groups and extremist groups. Moms for Liberty is an extremist group, they said. And the Biden Justice Department used the Southern Poverty Law Center as a way to train some of their prosecutors. And they were running a scam, and they were promoting the very thing they said they were opposing, dividing this country over the last several years. I think that's something that's part of this equation as well.
I agree, and I was fascinated watching you tell Maria about that. I never missed Maria's show on Sunday. Man, I knew about the SPLC story, and I followed it. The $3 million might be a resist. You do such great work and great investigations, and even you and Comer going back to the Biden stuff, which for years we heard about just how corrupt the Biden family is, and I believe they were. But there were no real repercussions. Yeah. Tell me what you think is going to happen here with SPLC.
Well, they've been charged with real crimes, and we're going to continue our investigation. And God bless Attorney General Blanche and what he's doing. There's this indictment. They are also looking at, when you think about the hard left, and it looks like they may have been taking foreign donations through Act Blue. There's an investigation going on there, both in Congress and at the Justice Department. There's this investigation into John Brennan and others. We did a criminal referral from our committee to the Justice Department for Mr. Brennan because we know he lied to us under oath in a deposition. They're looking at this broader conspiracy over the last decade of folks in the Obama White House and people on the left who were conspiring to undermine President Trump. So all those things are happening. But I do get the frustration because I hear it all the time as I travel around the country helping our candidates and colleagues. People always say, when's someone going to be held accountable? Yeah. Sometimes they're more directed. They go, Jordan, when is someone going to jail? And all I can say is the Justice Department has to do that. We can just do our oversight.
I get that frustration, too, and I believe that's part of the reason why Todd Blanche is there and not Pam Bondi. I like Pam, but, you mentioned Brennan and Comey. These are all terrible people. They should be in jail. I did mention the Biden corruption scandal. Is that over? Are you guys still doing some of that still?
No, that is largely over. We dug into that. We thought we exposed all kinds of I think, behavior that was just wrong, particularly when it came to Hunter Biden's dealings with this Ukrainian energy company Burisma. He sat on the board and got paid all kinds of money and really didn't do anything. He said so himself. He wasn't qualified. He got the job because his last name was Biden. So we looked into all that, and particularly the actions of the vice president, then Vice President Biden. But, yeah, I think that's largely went away. I think people remember it, and there's all kinds of reasons why Joe Biden didn't run for president. I think that was part of it. But, we're focused on Act Blue. We're focused on the Southern Poverty Law Center as our two key investigations right now.
And those are two really important major investigations. So kudos to you. This is the amazing Congressman Jim Jordan joining me live on this Tuesday morning. Jim, what are we going to do with Hakeem? I know that, the Democrats, for some reason, they're very confident they're going to take back the House come November. And if, God forbid, that happens, all of a sudden, this lunatic becomes the majority speaker. This guy doubled down on warfare yesterday. What are we going to do with this guy?
Well, we got to just win this election. And it's not going to be easy, but, there in your area, you rattled off all the good members of Congress from up there with Garbarino, Lalota, Lawler, Nicole Maliotakis, all those good folks who are got to make sure they come back. We got other races around the country that are in marginal tight seats, and we got to help them. And then we got to make sure we've had a significant number of retirements and members running for higher office. We got to make sure we win those. So the key is this midterm election. And I think I said this the other day. I think this midterm election comes down to two sentences. They're crazy, we're not, and point out all the positions that the left, not all Democrats are crazy, but the left that controls their party is. And you can run down through the positions on it's crazy to defund police, crazy to defund ICE, crazy to have an open border for 4 years, which is what we had under Biden, crazy to say men should compete against women in sports, crazy to shut down the government for 42 days in the fall, 70-some days and counting in the spring. Crazy to say you shouldn't have an ID to vote. I mean, just all their positions. And I think we have to just let the voters know if you put Democrats in charge, the left, which controls their party, is going to want to go back to all those positions and not cut taxes and secure the border like we've done this Congress.
Well, you just ran it down. And any sane person listening to you literally in that 15 seconds, Jim, would say, I have to vote Republican. You mentioned shutting down the government twice. Like you said, 40-plus days in the fall, 70-plus days now. I mean, all these people that are so critical of Secret Service for Saturday night, and they made some mistakes, there's no question. But to me, the bigger issue was the venue, not our men and women. And the truth is, these poor folks, they haven't been paid in 70-plus days. So instead of kicking them in the teeth this morning, how about solving this DHS issue and paying these brave folks?
Great point. Why not? Maybe a good thing to do would be to pay the guys doing the job to make sure DHS is funded instead of playing this game. Think about what the Democrats did specifically with ICE. They said, so for 4 years, they said, we're going to let in 10 million illegal migrants. Then they create these sanctuary jurisdictions all over the country, which makes it difficult to remove any of those illegal migrants who commit other crimes. And then they say, oh, we're not going to pay the guys who do the removing. We're not going to pay ICE. Such a deal. I mean, that's what they did. And it's somehow like that's the position of your party. Let in 10 million, create sanctuary jurisdictions that represent about a third of the country. 18 cities, 11 states, 3 counties in the District of Columbia are sanctuary jurisdictions, but they're big blue cities, big blue states. So it's about a third of the country live in a sanctuary jurisdiction where if an illegal migrant commits another crime, they tell local law enforcement not to work with federal law enforcement when you're enforcing federal law, for goodness sake.
Right.
So they create that, and then they say, let's not fund the guys who actually do the enforcing. That is the dumbest thing I've ever heard, but that is their stated position and why they've shut the government down for 70-some days.
You know, this redistricting story is a big one here, too. You mentioned Nicole Maliotakis. We both did, and she had a very big Supreme Court victory here in New York. But it's a big story today, Jim, what they're doing in Virginia, and contrastly what they're doing in the states that I love, Jim Abbott's state of Texas and Ron DeSantis' state of Florida. What are your thoughts on all these redistricting moves?
Yeah, I think the most egregious one was the one in Virginia. I mean, they took a state that's pretty, in our lingo, pretty purple, and it's a 6-5 right now, 6 Democrats, 5 Republicans in the congressional delegation. And the way they drew it, it looks like it's going to potentially be a 10-1. Think about the whole state of Virginia just having one Republican congressman. It's like, so I think that's the most egregious. That's being challenged in court. We'll see what happens in Florida. Governor DeSantis came out with the folks in Florida came out with a new map yesterday. We'll see. I think it doesn't change the fact that this election is, we've done what we said we would do, cutting your taxes, securing the border. They're taking all kinds of crazy positions. And if you elect them, we know what they're going to do. They're going to impeach the president a third time. And so let's go win this election. However these districts get drawn, we can still win if we go out and, I think, tell the American people what we just described.
Last one. I know how much the president loves you and Scalise. You're kind of his guys. And I'm nervous. I was fortunate that the president actually texted me back on Sunday morning. He said, "I'm okay, Sid." And Secret Service did a great job. But I'm really nervous that they're going to, eventually do what they are trying to do. This is a lunatic. This guy's going to run past all the Secret Service. But just talking about Dietl moments ago, maybe next time there's a bomb. Maybe next time there's 12 people. Are you, Jim Jordan, legitimately nervous for our president?
Well, yeah. I mean, this guy's amazing. I told him, I actually talked to him briefly last night. And I said, and I said this on Sunday, I said the poise, the composure that he displayed Saturday night in Butler, Pennsylvania. I mean, all the time that he's been under pressure and attacks and all the lies they've told about him. I mean, it's why I'm so glad he's our president. And very few human beings have the fortitude, the toughness, the perseverance, the what it takes to withstand all that. And I think that's what you want in the commander in chief, and you want in the president. And he's just a special person. I'm so glad he's our president. But I'm always, we're worried about him because, like we said, it's been 3 times that they've tried, and let's hope it doesn't happen again. God bless the Secret Service. I talked with the director, called and gave me a little briefing yesterday for our committee, and God bless Director Kern and what he's doing. But we want to make sure. President Trump has done things that I think no other president could get done, and we so appreciate him. And you want, like I said, you want someone who, if you think about sports, there are certain athletes, when it counts, under the pressure, don't get rattled. They know how to perform and get the job done, and you just see it. They want the ball at the end of the game. They know how to. They just know how to do it. And President Trump is that kind of individual. Perfect analogy. He is special. And so are you. I mean that, Jim. I tell you that every time. You are not good. You're great. And we're very lucky to have you in Congress, my friend. Thank you so much. Well, we're lucky to have you on the air. Thanks for all you do. Take care. Thank you, Jim. Jim Jordan right there, the amazing congressman out of Ohio, taking time out of his busy morning to join us on this Tuesday here in New York City. My guy, Jim Jordan. Take a break. Nomi's got the news. Still lots more to come. We're going to speak to Marc Beckman. He was on Fox News this morning. He, of course, is Melania's mouthpiece, and she's pissed. Boy, is she pissed. And she should be at this hack, this asshole, Jimmy Kimmel. We'll talk to Marc Beckman coming up. Nicole Parker, former FBI agent. She's been on Fox News about 1,000 times the last 3 days. She's down in Miami. She's going to join us. We'll also talk to Gordon Chang. A lot more to do. Tuesday, Sid and Friends in the morning.
Sid and Friends in the morning on the Red Apple Podcast Network.
Classic Grateful Dead right here. Sugar Magnolia. 8:37 on your sun-sprawled, gorgeous Tuesday morning here in New York. We really have had about a week and a half of spring here. This is real spring, right? Not 80 degrees, not 90 degrees. Temperature is hovering around the mid-60s with brilliant sunshine. And it's going to be like that basically the whole week. Even high 50s with sunshine. So for folks that are complaining we're down to 2 seasons, which it does feel that way. Winter lasted a year. We are enjoying some very spring-like temperatures and weather the last couple of weeks. Before I get to 3 more great guests, Gordon Chang, who'll join us momentarily. President Trump, you guys know how much I love the president. We spoke Sunday after the assassination attempt on Saturday night. I love him. I adore him. But I was a little angry with the president. He got mad at my buddy Gordon Chang because I love Gordon, too. We'll get to that and all the latest with China. Nicole Parker, former FBI agent down in Miami, now on Fox News about 10 times a day. She'll join us. And Marc Beckman will join us. Now, Marc was on Fox News very early this morning, and he happens to be, he's really the mouthpiece and the face for Melania Trump. What's his title, Justin?
He's her senior executive advisor.
Right, so she doesn't do a lot of interviews, doesn't do any. It's amazing we got her, and she was terrific with us. Doesn't do a lot of television, doesn't do a lot of interviews. So when she wants to speak, Marc Beckman does all the talking for her. So this asshole, Jimmy Kimmel, this ingrate, this unfunny hack, did this joke a couple nights ago. It was pre-assassination attempt. It was. But it's never really funny talking about a dead president. So if you missed it, here was Kimmel's latest feeble attempt at humor. I think this dates back to Thursday night, Lewis. This is cut number 6.
Our First Lady Melania is here. Look at Melania, so beautiful. Mrs. Trump, you have a glow like an expectant widow.
Wow. And who's laughing? That's got to be the laugh track. Well, who knows? That California audience. California's rough. So that's courtesy of ABC. He makes that joke. And then, lucky for Jimmy, somebody actually tries to kill the president 2 days after that. But Jimmy explained it all away last night. Jimmy doubled down. Jimmy actually repeated that heinous, offensive joke in his attempt to explain it away, which was about age, not murder. Here's Jimmy Kimmel last night acting like a jackass all over again. Cut number 7.
We had a little roast. Again, this was Thursday, and there was no big reaction to it until this morning when I greeted the day facing yet another Twitter vomit storm. And a call to fire me from our First Lady, Melania Trump, saying I should be fired because of a joke I made, again, 5 nights ago. It was a pretend roast. I said, our First Lady Melania is here. Look at her, so beautiful. Mrs. Trump, you have a glow like an expectant widow, which obviously was a joke about their age difference and the look of joy we see on her face every time they're together. It was a very light roast joke about the fact that he's almost 80 and she's younger than I am. It was not by any stretch of the definition a call to assassination, and they know that. I've been very vocal for many years speaking out against gun violence in particular, but I understand that the First Lady had a stressful experience over the weekend and probably every weekend.
So here's what, not funny. So here's what Melania actually put on Truth Social yesterday. Kimmel's hateful and violent rhetoric is intended to divide our country. His monologue about my family is not comedy. His words are corrosive and deepens the political sickness within America. People like Kimmel should not have the opportunity to enter our homes each evening to spread hate. A coward. Nice. A coward. Kimmel hides behind ABC because he knows the network will keep running cover to protect him. And why is that? Why is that? He gets no ratings. None. Anyway, she goes, enough is enough. It is time for ABC to take a stand. How many times will ABC's leadership enable Kimmel's atrocious behavior at the expense of our community? And she's right. Now, they did fire him almost, I guess, last year for also a very distasteful joke about the president. And a bunch of cable networks dropped him. And, well, Disney never really fired him. I guess they suspended him. But it looked like he was about to get fired, and they saved his ass. Why not fire him now? Look, I'm the last person to advocate for somebody's termination. I've been fired a lot, and it's horrible. Now, the difference is when I get fired, I'm making like $1.80. So, when you combine the fact that it's hard to save money when you make that type of living, and then you can't work because of all these ridiculous contract measures, my life falls apart. And it's not just my life, it's my wife and children. Jimmy, it don't matter. If he got fired today, he can live 100 lives. He's got millions and millions and millions of dollars. Sorry, no sympathy for Jimmy. So it's not exactly the same. But I understand that freedom of speech matters. There's nobody in radio, no one even close to doing what I do. I push it right to the limit every day. I'm smart enough now, doing this as long as I have, not to go over the line, but I push it to that limit every day. I try to get as close as I can, a pubic hair away. But Jimmy, he falls off the cliff. He falls off the cliff. So I never, ever advocate for somebody's termination. But this bastard, enough is enough. He should be fired. ABC and Disney should do the right thing. He's not getting ratings anyway. You know, a guy like me, it's hard to fire me because I destroy the competition. I destroy everybody. From my own station to the guys across the street. I destroy everybody. This guy doesn't do that. What the hell are you holding on to him for? You need a mouthpiece for the Democrats? You got 9 of them at night. Jimmy Fallon, he's not as bad as Kimmel, not even close, but he's bad enough. You got all these stupid daytime shows from Good Morning America, ridiculous. The early show with Gayle King, ridiculous. Today's show, ridiculous. Then your Sunday shows, One by One, George Stephanopoulos, Kristen Welker, Margaret Brennan. Come on. We don't need Jimmy Kimmel. You got enough Jimmy Kimmels out there all day, every day. ABC, do the right thing. Fire his unfunny ass. Fire him for that. Just for that. You're not funny. Gordon Chang is coming up next. What's China's role moving forward? Nobody knows more than Gordon. Gordon G. Chang on Twitter. My friend Gordo is next.
Sid and Friends in the morning on the Red Apple Podcast Network.
I have a very good relationship with President Xi of China, and we work together very well. They're paying us substantial money, as you know. We've never got money before. You know, I listened to this Gordon Chang. He has no idea what he's talking about. We have been very tough on China. Tough but fair. And, you know, it's an amazing place. But I have a very good relationship with China, and they've been doing I put tremendous tariffs. I put 100% tariff on all Chinese cars coming in, and that's destroying Europe.
That's President Trump talking about my friend Gordon. Tough situation for me. I'm friends with both guys. But, you know, Gordon, you can follow Gordon Chang at Gordon G. Chang on Twitter. I recommend you do follow him. He knows everything. And, you know, Gordon has been very complimentary, on this show at least, about Trump and how he deals with Xi and China. I'm not sure if Gordon says something different on Fox News than he says here. That's where the president sees Gordon on Fox News. But I think Gordon's been very complimentary. In fact, he's made the point time and time again that it was Biden who kind of allowed China to run wild, and the president, maybe not perfect, okay, but at least has put a harness on him. That's the impression I got, Gordon. I was surprised to hear the president say that. I didn't play that to embarrass you or make you mad, but I played it because I was surprised that the president said that, because I don't get that impression from you at all.
Yeah, I support President Trump on almost everything. As you know, Sid, there are things that he does that I think that he needs to be moving in the other direction. As an American, I say what I think.
So what did you say specifically that he was upset about Xi?
I think most people who have come in on this mentioned that he's upset that I said that he should not go to China. This was before he postponed the March 31 summit. And I mentioned that China was an enemy combatant and we're involved in a war, and he shouldn't go there. And he shouldn't go there because the Chinese will make a lot of propaganda out of this. We know that in general, forget about Trump for the moment, forget about the United States. Whenever a foreign leader goes to China, they always portray it as a vassal entering the Grand Celestial Kingdom and showing their submission to Chinese leaders. This would be even more true if, the war were continuing. And, I said Trump shouldn't go. There's a lot of reasons for that. But, this is still an issue because he's got this May 14th summit on the docket. And if the war isn't over by then I again say he shouldn't be going to China.
Do you think the war will be over by then?
I don't think so. Anything can happen. But, the ceasefire is continuing. And as long as it does, it pushes a resolution of the war further into the future. I tend to think that President Trump is getting a little bit tired with the Iranians. And he's doing some really good things by, for instance, not sending negotiators to Islamabad, because the Iranians were saying they weren't going to meet Steve Witkoff and Jared Kushner. So I think it's great that the president decided not to send them.
I would only ask the president, what took you so long? You remember going back almost 3 weeks ago on that Tuesday night when the president was promising to annihilate the civilization. He didn't mean kill civilians, take it easy. He meant destroy their infrastructure. And I was very disappointed, and still am, that he didn't do it. And there's another meeting, another extension, and I'm tired of it. So I think you're right. He's grown tired, but it's taken him way too long, in my opinion. And it does look like, from everything I read that you write and others, James Laporta, that the Chinese are trying to make sure that Iran can still fight. Isn't that true?
Oh, that certainly is true. We have, for instance, all of these reports of China supplying targeting data to the Iranians who are then using it. We know that China supplies the microchips for every Iranian weapon that includes them. There are also these shoulder-fired missiles that are believed to come from China. But we also know that Beijing is providing diplomatic and propaganda support. It's across-the-board support, except only thing that China does not provide are combat personnel, soldiers, sailors, pilots. But apart from that, China's providing everything. And, President Trump was right to say, look, he's going to impose a 50% additional tariff on any country that supplies weapons to Iran. And now he needs to do that to China because it's clear that China has continued to send weapons. We see all these images of Chinese cargo planes landing, military cargo planes landing in Iran. This is just not a good story for us.
It's not just weapons. I'm reading everything from ships. The latest Iranian ship that was seized by us shows that Beijing is helping Tehran. It's also radar systems. This is according to James Laporta. U.S. intelligence detects signs China is weighing giving Iran advanced radar systems. So the weapons are bad enough, but it seems like the Chinese are getting involved in this in many facets.
Yes, well, Iran for a very long time was a Chinese proxy. Now, the mullahs don't think they're proxies for anybody, but when you look at the relationship, it was clear that China was providing everything and that they could not have attacked Israel, for instance, on October 7th, were it not for Chinese support. So this is a story that we have known for quite some time, and now we're seeing the consequences of it. Oh, and by the way, I almost forgot. Iran has a nuclear weapons program because of China.
Yeah.
China supplied materials, equipment, technology, either directly or indirectly through the AQ Khan black market ring. So, yeah, the reason why there's a war there is because of China. And we need to say that because the Chinese are making propaganda hay by saying, Beijing is stable and the United States is a disruptor. Well, we're a disruptor because they weaponized Iran with all the materials for a nuke.
And China is involved in so many other aspects of our life. For example, this is a major story now. It was a day ago, but, if you watch CNBC, which I do occasionally, or Bloomberg, you would know that China just blocked Meta's $2 billion takeover of AI startup Manus. So here they are causing some economic things as well. And then you got Kevin O'Leary yesterday, and he was going on and on about this massive Utah AI data center to go up against what China is trying to do every single day. So forgetting about the war for 1 second, AI is a big battle between the United States and China.
Yes, this Manus deal is really important, Sid, and I'm glad you raised it. Because really what China is doing is it's saying to the world, you cannot have any relationship with our AI companies. Well, if that's true, why are we allowing our AI companies to be bought by China? Or why are we allowing our AI businesses to cooperate with China? Xi Jinping has made it very clear. He wants a divorce. Well, if he wants a divorce, let's give it to him because this Manus action is significant because that deal, by the way, was completed as a practical matter. Meta had already integrated Manus's operations into its own. And then now China's National Development and Reform Commission says, no, you can't do it. Well, okay, but if that's what you want to do, then let's do it as well. We need to have reciprocity. They don't want us. We shouldn't want them.
Really that simple. Let me get to Russia here. Turns out that we're not getting anywhere. Ukraine, Russia is still going on and on. I think Zelensky now is even gone as far as taking shots at Israel. I feel like Zelensky's always jealous of Israel because he feels like, and he's right, they're our number one ally, and President Trump and the United States, we do what's right, which is protect and work with Israel. Zelensky, I'm sorry to my friend Peter King, but I don't trust that guy as far as I can see him. Now, don't get me wrong. I'm rooting for Ukraine in this conflict. They were the ones who were attacked. Putin is a complete madman, but Ukraine is also a very, very corrupt country. And Zelensky is not exactly a guy you can trust. So now he's taking shots at Israel. But regardless, is there any hope that this conflict can end anytime soon?
No, Ukraine's going to go on for quite some time. And the reason is, if you go back about 4 or 5 months, Russia was advancing slowly. And it looked at some point that Russia would actually pressure Ukraine in very serious ways. Now it's Ukraine that is advancing, and it's Ukraine that is taking out Russian refineries and other facilities. And the Russians are, they're in sort of slow retreat. This is the type of war you have when you have two communist-type militaries. Because Ukraine's military is essentially what's left over from the Cold War, from pre-Cold War. So really what we've got is two militaries that don't know offense very well and are now slugging it out. And fortunately, Ukraine is now prevailing, but I don't know how long that'll last. But it will be a long war.
Yeah. Well, attrition, they're just not going to be able to survive. But they have certainly taken Russia's best punch, right? Let's put it like that. Ukraine has taken Russia's best punch. They've managed to survive it, although that's a difficult war with all the deaths that have gone on. And you'd have to say that this has been a really humiliating experience for Putin. That's why when people were yelling and screaming, he's going to take over the whole world, he's going to go into Poland, he's going to take over all these other countries, he can't get this done. What do you mean he's taking over the whole world? He can't get this done. That should have been over in a week, that war, and Ukraine is finding a way to survive. How could I possibly be fearful that Putin's going to take over the world when he can't win this?
Yeah, and I understand that point. Putin wants to take over the world, or at least he wants to reconstitute the Russian Empire at its greatest extent. And he has been causing problems in the Baltics and in Western Europe already with what appears to be acts of terrorism. Or acts of terrorism that appear to be sponsored by him. This is a problem. We got to worry about Russia, not because Putin, and you're right about it, he's really fragile right now, but he's got support from North Korea, and he's got support from China. And China, if it wants to, can tip the balance in Ukraine. Now, fortunately, it doesn't want to at this particular moment. It's got its hands tied. It's got real problems at home. Its economy is falling apart. The military has been decimated by Xi Jinping's purges. The country also is a mess. But if they can get their act together, I was going to use a different word. If they can get their act together, right. This is we got to worry about Ukraine, and we got to worry about the rest of Europe, because China right now is really, I think Xi Jinping is getting to the point of desperation. And that means he can lash out. He can take us by surprise. This could be really, really ugly.
Well, he's already got our grids. He can mess with those anytime he wants, our water supplies. There's a lot of damage that China can do. But I do feel like, as we talked about last time, that although there are three world powers, Russia, China, and the United States, I feel like because of President Trump, we are now the only superpower. Russia's basically broken, getting their asses kicked every day, and China's a mess. But yes, they can certainly change that. China more than Russia at any given time. So what do you think happens next with Iran? What's next?
I think that, by the way, we are the world's only superpower right now. I absolutely agree with that. With regard to Iran, I think President Trump loses his patience. He then actually starts going after not only the power stations and the bridges, but I think he'll go after Iran's rail lines to China. We need to sever those. I think Trump is going to go after them completely. And at some point, we'll prevail. I want to prevail sooner rather than later, because if he prevails later, you're going to have the Republicans. I'm not a Republican, by the way, but they're going to have the Republicans wiped out in the November midterms, and that's not going to be good for the United States. because we got people like James Carville who wants to pack the Supreme Court, to add new states, to do all sorts of things that will destroy our republic. So the Republicans need to hold the line. And I say that not as a Republican, I say that as an independent. I just say it as an independent observer looking at what's happening, because the Democrats right now are really a very dangerous party.
You just reminded me of so many family members and friends who are Republicans, and so are you. But they're so deathly afraid to say that. I don't know why, that they have to make it a point. I'm not a Republican. I'm a Democrat that leans right, or I'm independent. Gordon, you're a Republican. You are.
No, I'm not. I'm conservative.
Yeah.
But I'm not necessarily not a Republican.
Now why will Lydia get mad at you if you say that? Be honest. Let's have an honest conversation. Why can't you just say I'm a Republican?
Because I'm not. I don't. The Republican Party does things that I don't like.
Give me one.
Oh my gosh. I didn't like that they started the redistricting mess in Texas. I thought that was a mistake.
Wait a second, but the Democrats started that way before we did that in Texas.
Yeah, but they, both parties, pox on them, and so, you go back, there was a lot of things that Republicans do. They steal elections. The Democrats steal elections. I don't like it. We know how to run fair elections in this country. It's very simple. We do what the Taiwanese do. Paper ballots that are counted in front of everybody. Yeah. So everybody has the same tally. Yeah. We don't do that. We don't do it in red states. We don't do it in blue states.
But we want to do that. The Republicans.
I want to do it. Trump wants to do it.
Right.
And great credit for Trump. But there are a lot of Republicans who steal elections and who don't want to have, fair and enforceable ballot rules.
I was only kidding, by the way. I wasn't. I just wanted to see you defend your position, which you did very, very well. But I was only kidding. Of course, I'm not going to tell you what you are.
I like Republicans. I generally vote Republican.
Yeah.
But I'm not a Republican because I believe that we need to have a strong independent center to this country, because both parties can go off the rails, and I don't want to, support a party. Because if you're a Republican, you got to support what the Republican Party does. And there's some things they do I don't like.
That's fair. No, that's more than fair. Trust me. I've just, I dive in head first, and when I see what happened on Saturday in Washington, D.C., that makes me even more MAGA, even more Republican, even more conservative. I hate the Democrats so much I can't stomach it.
Yeah, you hear what Hakeem Jeffries said afterwards. You heard Jimmy Kimmel. Jimmy Kimmel, by the way, is not a free press issue. It's not a First Amendment issue because the Justice Department is not prosecuting him. What we're saying is that his comments were so awful, so atrocious, that he should no longer be on the air. And that's not a First Amendment issue. The Democrats say, oh, it's a First Amendment issue. No, it's not.
Last one. I want to go back to China for a second. I know there's a long conversation because you're great as you are all the time, Gordon. As we speak right now, do you believe in your heart of hearts that the Chinese are conjuring up something similar to COVID, which we know was lab created? Sorry, Dr. Fauci, he should be in prison too. We know they created that. Do you think right now the Chinese are conjuring something up that can bring a pox to the world once again?
Yes, they have a biological weapons program. We know that, for instance, at this moment, they're studying Ebola. Ebola in nature has a 50% fatality rate, but fortunately it's not transmissible or readily transmissible. But we know that they're studying Ebola because there's actually public information about it, but also in the secret Chinese biological weapons lab that was discovered in Reedley, California in December 2022. They had pathogens there for at least 20 diseases, according to the official account, and one of them was the pathogen for Ebola.
Wow.
So we know that they are planning this. So, yeah, the next disease is going to come from China, and that's how World War III is going to start. When Americans start mysteriously dying before hostilities start, it will be China spreading a disease in this country. We found 2 Chinese biological weapons facilities. The other one was in Las Vegas on January 31. We know, at least I believe, there's a third one which has yet to be discovered.
Boy.
The FBI is completely out to lunch on this because they're not asking the American public for tips on what appears to be a third lab someplace, and I can explain that if you want. But the point is, Yeah, the Chinese are planning a biological weapons attack on the United States.
And they are collecting, we got to shut this down in 30 seconds, but they've been collecting over the years characteristics, DNA, so that they can actually come up with a disease that will kill everybody else but their own people. Isn't that right?
That's absolutely right. They have the world's largest collection of DNA profiles of Americans. And they've been collecting it during COVID when they were testing their disease, they're testing their vaccine. Clearly, their plan to do this. Their researchers talk about this in public. They call them specific ethnic genetic attacks. We know that they are possible these days because of advances in science. So, yeah, we've got to be worried about it. And the President of the United States, I hope, starts talking to us about it because the Chinese are making plans to kill Americans in large numbers with something other than fentanyl.
Wow. Gordon, that's an excellent appearance, man. I don't care what anybody says. I think you're the best. I really do. You're great. Thank you for this amazing appearance today. We'll do it again very soon.
Thank you so much, Sid, and stay safe.
You too. That's my friend Gordon Chang. Follow him today on X. He's at Gordon G, as in Gordon. Gordon G. Chang. You like him. That follow. He's a good follow. Very smart guy.
Not a Republican.
He is a Republican, but
No, he's not a Republican.
No, I know.
But you really like to just push people like poor Gordon.
Yeah. Let me tell you how you know someone's a Republican. When they tell you they're not. Okay? I really don't care what he is. I couldn't care less.
Of course you don't.
I don't care. God, I don't care what you are. I don't care what anybody is. Only Noam bothers me. I don't know why.
What is that?
I don't know, because you're too liberal, I think. You come off relatively conservative here, but I know that, for example.
Deep down, huh?
Yes, like in your living room right now, you've got an 8x10 of Bernie Sanders, there's no question.
Yes, I do.
And your wife, Pam, loves him too. All right, we'll take a break. Nomi's got the news. Still to come, former FBI agent down in Miami, now Fox News star Nicole Parker, and we'll talk to Marc Beckman, who, of course, does all the talking for Melania Trump, and she's very upset today. You know why. Noam's got the news, and I'll be back on the Tuesday edition of Sid and Friends in the Morning.
Sid and Friends in the Morning on the Red Apple Podcast Network.
Well, let's spend about 10 minutes with Nicole Parker. She's got a big TV hit coming up, but she's kind enough to join me this morning. Former FBI down in Miami for many, many years, almost 2 decades now, a superstar, rock star on Fox News. Nicole, good morning. How are you?
I'm doing pretty well. How are you?
Not as good as you. You're on fire. You got a book that's doing great. You're on TV every 15 minutes. You're doing great. I'm proud of you. I'm happy for you. But before I get to the Saturday night action, if you will, I want to ask you about redistricting in your state. Ron DeSantis has made a big deal about this. You know, Texas going in the right direction, Virginia going the other way. How big of a story is that back home in Miami?
It's a big story. Look, things need to be fair, and what Virginia did was certainly not fair. And
Right.
Ron DeSantis is one thing about him being our governor. I'm sad for him to go. I really am. He doesn't mess around. So let's see what happens here. When you asked about my home state, I was a little confused because I actually am from Texas originally. Once a Texan, always a Texan. Don't mess with Texas.
Oh, wow.
But yes, you're right. I've lived in Florida for, the entire time I was in the FBI. So I've been here for 16 years. And I consider both home. But yes, both states. Don't mess with Florida either.
No, they're both, listen, they're two of my favorite states, and both have incredible governors. Abbott down in Texas, what a great guy, and DeSantis in Florida. But like you said, you spent most of your time with the FBI, all your time with the FBI down in Miami. Yeah, so let's get to what we saw on Saturday night. 9,000 people on this show, as you could imagine. I did get a text from President Trump Sunday morning, and he said, thanks for checking in, Sid. And the first thing he said to me was, thank God for the Secret Service. What a great job they did. And yet, almost every guest that comes on this show the last 2 days, they say, well, I don't know about that. I know Trump likes to thank his people and his cops, but they saw more errors than they did success. Let's start with that. Overall, how did you think the Secret Service did?
All right. So first of all, I saw the post that you posted, and that's President Trump. He's extremely gracious to law enforcement. When he should be, because I'll tell you, when the FBI was completely politically weaponized and going after him, he let them have it, as he should, which is very clearly noted in my book. The FBI was politically weaponized, went off the rails. But going back to the Secret Service, look, I worked with the Secret Service when I was an FBI agent. I worked events with President Trump when I was an FBI agent. I understand the high pressure, the high stress. These agents are being spread thin. They are overworked. The amount of travel these Secret Service agents are doing. I mean, so they're never home. They're standing post for 12 hours at a time. They can't take their eye off of anything. It's a zero-fail mission. And so, again, I always defend law enforcement, and I try to be fair.
And by the way, they're also not getting paid.
Correct. But I agree that you can believe two things. You can believe that they're doing the best that they can with the resources that they've been given. But I also believe that the protective model for the Secret Service is completely antiquated, old school, does not keep up with the modern day threats. They are not up with the 3D weapon machines that are out there, the AI. They are not. The model for protection is about 50 years behind, in my opinion. Okay. They need to move it up. They need to get with the program across all of law enforcement, not just the Secret Service, the FBI, local law enforcement. That's just something that I believe across the board. The other problem that I have, not just again with the Secret Service, but I saw it at the FBI, starting with the Obama administration, they started hiring people for DEI purposes that were not necessarily qualified. That cannot happen. And imagine if you hire all of these people that are not qualified and they go 20 years to get their pension, they're going to be with the bureaus and the agencies for a lot of years. And so I think it's a multi-pronged thing. Yes, I am always going to back the blue, back up our law enforcement. Yes, no one was hurt that night, but someone could have been hurt. That Secret Service agent was almost taken out. And again, they're going to look at the ballistics to see who actually fired that round that hit the vest. But thankfully, President Trump was not hurt. But that is not the bar and standard that they should be operating at. No one should even be close to or in the near vicinity with a gun of anywhere where President Trump may be, especially in a facility such as a hotel. Again, I think it adds to what everyone else is saying. The ballroom is would be a very secure area. And I think that this is a very good argument for let's get that thing going.
Yeah, that's the
Going
point.
back to law enforcement, I back up our law enforcement
that
this cannot continue to happen. They've got to make some major changes, and let's just get to the bottom of it across all law enforcement agencies to include the FBI.
No, you're right. And they made some mistakes. The fact that he got past the first line of folks and he can run past the next line somehow or another. These are the best trained people we've got, and nobody shoots him. Nobody's able to shoot this guy. He shoots one cop, but nobody shoots him.
No one shot him, and also there were no IDs checked. I mean, we're talking about, this is common sense stuff. They didn't even check IDs. You could have been on the top 10 most wanted list with a ticket that you got from someone, and you get in, and you just never know. So you've got to, I think they'll definitely, there's one thing about this administration. They're very transparent, and they're about improving things. And that's what I love about everyone involved here, and I have no doubt that the Secret Service will do the same. Unlike the woman who was the director before and dug in her heels and doubled down after Butler. I don't know if you remember that, but I certainly do.
Yep.
And she was a mess. Yep. And thank goodness we don't have that anymore. We've got people that are doing the right thing for the right reasons, real leaders. And I think that, thankfully no one was hurt or injured to a great extent, with the exception, obviously, of the agent who took the round of the vest. But President Trump is facing more threats than anyone. He is the most powerful man in the world, and he's doing things that actually matter right now. And that is why he is being attacked. And I loved his press conference where he said, look, when you're an effective individual and impactful, they come after you. They don't go after people that aren't impactful.
That's true. And the other issue besides the venue and the fact that the Secret Service wasn't perfect was that they were all there on Saturday night, Nicole. I mean, you would have been down to Chuck Grassley, basically. Mm-hmm. You could have killed everybody, every major member of Trump's administration in one ballroom at one time. That could have been a disaster. Yet, you tell me this. You spend your career at the FBI. In the manifesto, for some reason, this psycho, Cole Allen, said the life he wanted to spare was FBI Director Kash Patel. Why was that the case?
Wow. I have the criminal complaint right in front of me at 7 pages. I read the whole thing, and I'll just be blunt. That line struck out at me the most. It says administration officials, not including Mr. Patel.
Right.
They are targets, prioritized from the highest ranking to the lowest. So obviously highest ranking is President Trump down to the lowest. Why he excluded Mr. Patel, the FBI director, I don't know. But I certainly think that deserves an answer. Will we ever get it? Obviously, the defendant is not speaking. Let's see what the behavioral analysis unit and profilers come up with and what his patterns of communications were. Was there anything specifically that was mentioned in any communications about the FBI director? But I think that's interesting. I have no explanation for it at this point. But, like President Trump said, they go after those that are impactful. I don't know what to think. I'm not really sure. It's very interesting.
It was weird. Yeah, it was weird for me, too.
I don't know. What do you think of it?
I thought it was weird. But final, and I don't have any answer for you. Final 60 seconds, Nicole. I asked this of Jim Jordan about an hour ago. I said, are you worried? Are you worried they're going to keep trying, and maybe one day they walk in, there's 12 guys instead of one in 3 different rooms, or they got bombs, or there were ways to kill the president on Saturday that this guy was an idiot, let's be honest. He's going to run past every Secret Service guy, 20 of them with his gun. I mean, his plan was really pathetic. He got further than he should have, but his plan was really idiotic. But there may be a better plan next time. Are you worried, like really worried about the president's life?
I've been worried about the president's life for a long time, because having worked violent crime in the FBI and seeing what people are capable of doing, they have no conscience, and how the rhetoric is going up. And again, this guy, let's make it clear, book smart, this guy was a genius. Okay. He got into Caltech. It's like the number 1 or number 2 engineering school in the country. He had a degree in mechanical engineering with a master's in computer science. On on paper, this guy was very, very bright, but obviously he's not bright to think that he's going to rush the Secret Service. But what's sad is he almost did in certain ways. I mean, I heard that he tripped, and again, that's not in the complaint, so I don't want to say that. But I was on Fox this morning talking about it. This can't happen again, and that's what I want to say. This will not happen again. But then I had to stop myself and think, This may happen again, because people are evil, and they believe that violence is the means and ways to solve their personal grievances. And someone can have such disdain for President Trump. That's your right. But the moment that you're starting to act out in violence, that is sick. It is wrong. It is evil, and you will face the full prosecution of the law. And that's what's happening. I mean, we're seeing this over and over and over, and our country, it's just not headed in the right direction when we're seeing things like this happening. But I think we need to start with some of our congressional leaders, shall I say. I wouldn't really call them leaders, but people that are saying these fiery comments. Yeah. Do you think that people live in a vacuum? These echo chambers that these people are looking at on their social media and the algorithms that they're seeing, this person was definitely influenced by that. And I can tell you that every action begins with a thought. And they're absorbing all of this, and they're riling people up, and then they're acting out on it. I think one final note I'll make that I think is unique and interesting about this person, again, going back to how smart he was intellectually, he was a video game guy. He invented video games. Wow. On Steam. Okay, this guy, a lot of the video games involved shooters. Yes. And this is something that we see commonly. And when the BAU profilers look at it, there's no exact study that says this, but having worked with profilers at the FBI, a lot of these individuals that are acting out on video games, go back and look at the video games that he was acting out, where they're snipers, where they're shooters. It's almost like they have this electronic world, and then it turns into a kinetic action where they actually are living out the shooting. And so they will be looking very closely at that as well. The video games that he personally was designing and inventing, and then he actually becomes a shooter himself. I guarantee you that the profilers are going to be looking at that very closely.
I think Tyler Robinson played video games, too, the guy that killed Charlie Kirk. And the other problem on the way out is when people do stuff like this, whether it's Cole Allen, whether it's Tyler Robinson, whether it's Luigi Mangione, they don't go away as criminals and embarrassed. To a certain extent, for about half this country, they become heroes. That's when you know. Heroes. Our country is sick. This guy, Cole Allen, is a hero today to about half of America.
Correct. And that's a moral deterioration that we have in our country, that evil is now good. Yep. And good is evil. It's like everything is flipped upside down. But yes, and I guarantee you that's what he wanted. He wanted to be the hero. He felt that there was a moral justification to act out in this way. He had to do it. Like, let me be the one to save everyone from this evil tyrant, is how he views President Trump and his administration. Well, I've got one thing to tell him. Have a nice time, because you will likely, again, all of this is alleged, Nothing has been proven. Anyone is innocent until proven guilty in the court of law. So I will always preface it with that. But in my personal opinion, based on my experience, he will likely be spending the rest of his life in jail.
Love it.
And was it worth it? Well, only he will know that.
31 years old. Couldn't have been worth it. Hey, you're great. Great job on Fox News every day. The book is great. You're great here. Please keep coming back, Nicole Parker. You're terrific. Thank you so much.
My pleasure. God bless y'all. Take care.
You too, Nicole. Nicole Parker right there, former FBI agent down there in Miami. And she's hopping on Fox News in about 6 minutes. We'll take a break. Marc Beckman was on Fox News this morning. He's the face and the voice for Melania. And she's very upset today, as she should be, with that jack-off Jimmy Kimmel. So we'll still talk to Marc Beckman. We got more to do before I hand the football to Brian Kilmeade in about 35 minutes.
Sid and Friends in the morning on the Red Apple Podcast Network.
Oof, this song gives me chills, man. We started today's program almost 4 hours ago with Hey Jude. I love the Beatles. I'm the only member of my household who loves the Beatles. I come from basically a rock and roll household. Ava's a little different because she's a young girl, but they don't love the Beatles. I love the Beatles.
Gabe, too?
Gabe likes the Beatles, doesn't love them. Danielle, indifferent. Ava, indifferent. I love the Beatles. So we started with Hey Jude, but this one, Let It Be. That's it does something to me. I don't know. Like what you do to me, Louis. Okay.
You can only discuss that so far.
Right. But we played it because King Charles is here, you know. And he's about to. I don't mention the Queen. I'm not a big fan. I'm sorry. What is her name?
Camilla.
Yeah, I'm not a fan.
What has she ever done to you?
I don't even know her, but she's very ugly. I have no patience for that.
That's not nice.
It is what it is. Get over it. And I like Princess Diana, and I'm not sure that somebody didn't murder her years ago. I don't know what happened
that's
there.
possible, but that's not Camilla's fault.
Sure it is. What are you talking about?
You think Camilla set the whole thing up?
Well, I'm not going to say that, but...
You think Charles set it all up to get rid of her?
100%.
Really?
I don't know. I don't know. I just know that I liked Diana, and I don't like this lady. She's, I don't know. There's something about her. I don't trust her. But I don't know her, but I could be wrong. But I like him. He's fine. I don't love him either. I think the whole thing is nonsense. But the truth is, Stormer... Well, I'm just saying, Stormer's a complete jerk-off, and I want to make sure that the United States and the UK get along. And King Charles is now doing all he can to make sure that's the case. And he's going to speak to Congress today. And he's dying, damn it. Be nice, Lou. What's the matter with you?
He looks all right.
He does look fine. And then he's going to go tomorrow, which really pisses me off, to the 9/11 memorial with our, radical Islam mayor, Mamdani. So, maybe I don't like it. I don't know. I'm very confused with the whole royalty thing. They're weird people. They have odd teeth and they don't shave their underarms.
It's news to me. I didn't know that.
Judge not.
The women, I mean, obviously, not King Charles.
Well, I heard he used to shave them, so maybe he just stopped.
Yeah. Marc Beckman is here. He was on Fox News this morning. He's in studio with us quite a bit. And he is really the mouthpiece for the beautiful Melania Trump, who has been put through hell, as if Saturday night wasn't scary enough for poor Melania. Now you got this a-hole Jimmy Kimmel on television, who had an opportunity last night to either bury it or apologize, and he doubled down. Even David Axelrod is being critical of Jimmy this morning, and Axelrod is evil. So here he is, my friend Marc Beckman. Marc, good morning, pal. How are you?
Sid, good morning. Thank you for having me. How are you today?
I'm great. I thought you'd be in studio today. Where were you?
I was not invited. I'm very insulted. But I'm happy that you're fired up about Jimmy Kimmel, because certainly I am.
You are, and I would imagine that so is Melania. I mean, I've read everything. I've seen all her comments. I read her Truth Social post, and, she's a very elegant, classy lady. She doesn't talk like me, but I think she would if she could, because I think she's really pissed, Mark. Really pissed.
Well, Sid, I want to ask you a question. Here's my point of view. I think it's time for ABC to fire Jimmy Kimmel. I'm sure you agree, but my question is this. Take the issue of the First Amendment out. Get rid of freedom of speech for a second and think about it just purely as a commercial issue. why on earth would ABC and the advertisers want to affiliate with Kimmel when time and time again he's spewing this political vitriol, which is resulting in this type of behavior, in political violence? Why does ABC want to affiliate with that?
I'll tell you why. And I'm glad you asked me the question because I know you respect me. Ratings. But here's the problem. He gets horrible ratings. Like if you said to me he was getting astronomical ratings, and I know it's going to sound shallow, but, you know, these TV broadcast stations will deal with that because ratings means revenue, and they will do their best to explain away even the most evil behavior if, in fact, that's the case. Where I can't figure it out is he does all that. Like you said, he inspires maniacs like Cole Allen, and he gets no ratings. And maybe his revenue is great. I heard that wasn't great either. What is it? What is this loyalty that they've got to him? I don't get it.
So no viewership. We both align on that. Maybe, I'm curious what you think about this too. Now I'm interviewing you. Maybe there's a trend here that's part of a bigger mean-spirited ecosystem that the Democrats are running. So, for example, you're seeing this type of politically violent rhetoric coming through academia, the government and politics, entertainment, even in sports, as you are very well aware. So do you think there's like a bigger agenda or like a deeper sickness in society where we can't just have respect for differing opinions? We have to stoop down to the level of violence?
100%. And ABC is right there at the top. You know, whether it's Good Morning America, there's not one person on that show, from Robin, God bless her, to Strahan, to Stephanopoulos, that respects this president. Georgia's show on Sundays is awful. The only network that looks like they're trying is CBS, and that's because Barry Weiss has stepped in. Although for some reason, Barry Weiss allowed Norah O'Donnell to call Melania's husband a rapist and a pedophile. She read the manifesto, but she used those words on Sunday night, and I thought that was over the line. I really did, but at least Barry is trying. These other networks, Mark, ABC, NBC, forget about the cable networks. I'm talking about ABC, NBC. Yes, they hate President Trump, and I'm not saying they encourage it, but they're okay with people like Kimmel on their airwaves.
O'Donnell's comments shortly after an assassination attempt to the person who they were trying to kill are outlandish. They really are. And people are just normalizing this behavior now. It's almost as if this is common, for the entire Democrat Party. It's interesting to mention, I heard you mention before I came on air, David Axelrod. I think he's the only person from the Democrat Party on the political side of things who's come out and said, okay, he should apologize. Fetterman also, I'll give Fetterman credit. Fetterman has some real moral clarity there, as you're very well aware.
Well, Fetterman's not even he's not even a Democrat. He's a Republican at this point. It's silly to call him. But you're right, nobody else. I mean, forget about, the comments from Kimmel. They were bad enough. You had her husband, somebody tried to murder him on Saturday, and no one has really stepped up and said anything. James Carville came out and said, I don't want them to kill the president. I want to watch him suffer. That's James Carville. He's got the biggest voice in the whole Democratic Party, right? The economy's stupid, going back to the Bill Clinton days. So, yeah, not many have stepped up. David Axelrod, I thought, was kind of weak, pussyish, if you will, in his response. Don't buy him, but at least he should apologize. But you're right, he's the only one, right? That's it.
So what has the Democrat Party become? Kind of like your Mets. I mean, you're sitting here with a party that's standing up behind Mamdani, standing up behind Ilhan Omar. What is it today that they can't get behind this type of a situation and say political rhetoric, violent rhetoric is not acceptable? Why is David Axelrod the only one who's done it half-baked? And Fetterman. I know you're saying Fetterman for all practical purposes is on our team right now. But, at the end of the day, what is the Democrat Party when they're standing behind Ilhan Omar, they're standing behind Mamdani, and they don't have the moral clarity to say this is not okay anymore? This type of rhetoric is getting to people who are mentally insane, who are sick, and they're carrying out violent acts. It's going from words to action.
I did see this on Twitter a lot yesterday and other social media sites when I was hammering Kimmel and, obviously saying nice things about Melania and President Trump. I saw a lot of people posting videos of Trump saying stuff. And they would be like, oh, really? This is the guy you're defending when he said this? So not only are you not seeing an abundance of these people come to the defense of Melania and Donald, but you're actually seeing people go on the offense about, well, what do you expect when he talks like this?
But, Sid, that's when you got to look at the data. So the Wall Street Journal just put out a report yesterday that showed that political violence from Democrats towards the Republicans has increased so much. It's at a greater level than from the right to the left. And it's trending in that direction. It's been trending in that direction for a while. And that's why I'm suggesting, and the First Lady has come out with this very strong statement, it's time to reconsider having people who are putting this charged, violent type of rhetoric out there, who are influencing people to commit violent acts against politicians. And to your point, it goes on and on. I mean, we're not even talking about Charlie Kirk this morning. It goes on and on and on. It's time to look at the data and say something's got to change in the system. It could start with respect, mutual respect. The marketplace of ideas is it's a good thing for human nature. It's a good thing for mankind, but we're not there right now. We go to the lowest common denominator, and that's what you're talking about. That's what you were seeing in the trenches of social media. What about Trump with this? What about Trump with that? What we need to do is find a leader that can take us above this evil rhetoric and come together with a certain modicum of respect.
True, and that's not Hakeem Jeffries, who doubled down on that word warfare yesterday.
Graceful.
I want to know from you, you speak to Melania, I guess more than anybody next to the president, and forgetting about Jimmy Kimmel for a second, Mark, but Sunday morning or late Saturday night, did you have a chance to talk to her not long after the assassination attempt?
Yes, I did. And it's a great question. A lot of people, actually, Sid, no one has asked me that question. You're the first one. It's a great question.
Thank you.
And here's what's interesting, and we're kind of breaking news with you right now. First of all, the First Lady was not afraid. She was not fearful. She was the first one to realize what was going on. And if you watch the videotape again, you'll see she ducked and went under the table. She was the first one. Second, she's strong. She did not get injured. People are speculating that she was hurt. But if you watch the president's press conference afterwards, you saw her standing there in solidarity with everybody, and she's in good shape. She also realizes, Sid, that unfortunately this type of risk, this danger is now inherent to the role of being First Lady, particularly when you're married to Donald Trump. I mean, they just keep trying to kill this guy over and over and over again. It's insane. And then finally, she is just so happy. She was elated that no one in the room was injured. Everybody was healthy. And that, of course, means a lot to her. So that was her initial feedback that night.
You know, she's so high profile, too. She's done some amazing things above and beyond what she did just for kids in Ukraine and all around the world. But speaking at the State Department a couple of months ago, speaking at the UN a couple of months ago, she's done things that no other First Lady have ever done. And she should, because she's beautiful and she's smart and she's terrific. And I'm just wondering if things like this, once again, trying to kill her husband and late night comics making fun of her and her husband, will that detract her from doing some of these very public things that she's done as of late, or does she stay on course to be that First Lady that matters?
No, she's very proud to be First Lady. She's very focused. In fact, in a few hours, she'll be taking Her Majesty Queen Camilla into the tennis pavilion, which our First Lady actually built. She went out, got private funding, and built it.
Wow.
Back in 2020, which isn't spoken about a lot. But she's going to go over there, and she's got a bunch of kids that are in the state champions that are in her presidential AI challenge, and they are going to have a really cool cross-cultural exchange rooted in education. First, the kids are going to wear MetaQuest head goggles and use VR to learn about England. They're going to go to Buckingham Palace and other iconic locations in England where the Queen will tell them about it. And then the kids are going to be wearing Meta glasses, and the First Lady has curated a bunch of artifacts from America, and they'll be learning with the Queen and the First Lady about American history and through these American artifacts. So she's very focused. That's all part of her Fostering the Future Together initiative. She's focused and she's doing great.
That's fantastic. Well, do me a favor, please. I know she did enjoy her time here about 2 months ago. Please give her my best and tell her I think Jimmy Kimmel should be fired, and thank God everybody's okay. And you, Marc Beckman, you're awesome. You're not good, you're great. Thank you for this appearance. It was fantastic.
Stay beautiful, Sid. We appreciate you. I'll definitely pass your message along to the First Lady today.
Look who's talking beautiful with that long, beautiful hair you've got there. You got a nice tan. You look great, Marc Beckman. Great job here today. Thank you so much. There he is, the voice and even the face on television for Melania. He's a terrific guy, our friend Marc Beckman. We are done for today. It was a tremendous show. All of our guests, from Vincent Vallelong to Bo Dietl, to Jim Jordan, to Gordon Chang, to Nicole Parker, to Marc Beckman. We got a monster show coming up again tomorrow. I booked a couple of guests already, so is Justin. So we'll keep you thoroughly entertained tomorrow on a Wednesday. And as Gene would say, of course, God willing, we'll all be back for that. But until then, folks, enjoy your gorgeous Tuesday afternoon here in New York City. From all of us on Sid and Friends in the Morning to all of you, until tomorrow at 6, peace!
Thanks for listening to Sid and Friends in the Morning. You can hear Sid and Friends in the Morning weekday mornings at 6. If you like the podcast, share it with your friends and listen anytime at WABCRadio.com and download the WABC Radio app. Hit that subscribe button on all major podcast platforms. Plus, follow WABC on social on Instagram, TikTok, Facebook, and X. See you next time for a new episode so you never have to wonder.
What the heck is going on here?